What up, everybody? Good morning. Happy Friday. Dan Kasper Show is on the air. Radio dials, couple of those, 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also available online at sportstalk1051.com. Video stream up and rolling as well. YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Got your Google and Alexa home devices and the Sports Talk app. Happy Friday, everybody. Hopefully, you can get through today and get ready for another weekend out here. If you're just getting ready, maybe to head out on the roads this morning, excuse me. Got a couple inches, got a few inches of snow out there, so be careful, maybe on the side roads and such. But do have some schools who are delayed a couple of hours. School closings and delays brought to you by our good friends at Service Master of Chippewa Valley and Hovlands. We got Alma Center, Maryland School District, Humbird, delayed a couple hours. Alma School District delayed a couple hours. Arcadia delayed a couple of hours. Bangor delayed a couple hours. Going Cochrane Fountain City delayed a couple hours. Oliva Strum delayed a couple hours. Fall Creek, you're going to be delayed a couple of hours. Gilmanton opening a couple hours late this morning. Independence opening late. Melrose Mindoro delayed. Mondovi is delayed a couple of hours. Got Necedah Schools also delayed a couple of hours. Pepin, Westby, Whitehall, or I should say Westby's closed today, and then Whitehall is opening late a couple of hours there. So, kiddos, get out there and shovel for your parents. That's what I say. So, what do we got on the game plan here for this morning? Well, we're going to talk a little hoops. Bucks picking up the victory last night, even without Giannis, 118 to 113 against the Brooklyn Nets. Let's just say it's a good thing that the Bucks had a good first quarter, outscoring the Nets by 17, 37 to 20, because well, the Nets tried to come back, and they inched a little bit closer. They outscored the Bucks in the final two quarters. It was evened up in the second. But in the final two quarters there, the Nets outscoring the Bucks. But thanks to that hot start in the first quarter, that was enough for the Bucks to get their 48th victory of the season, to improve to 28-6 at home, 48-18 overall. As mentioned, no Giannis in this game due to right hand soreness. But Bobby Portis helping out the cause with a double-double, 28 points, 13 rebounds. Brook Lopez, also a double-double for him. 24 points, 10 rebounds. Dude almost had a triple-double last night, but it wasn't because of assists. Guy had 9 blocks last night. Brook Lopez, dominating, shot blocking, putting on his best Dikembe Mutombo impression last night. So, good to see that. Maybe kind of getting back into the game for some Defensive Player of the Year conversations. Possibly. Maybe. Who knows? Looking at the upcoming schedule now, Bucks will be starting a little bit of a West Coast trip here on Saturday as they take on Golden State. Then on Monday, they've got Sacramento, Tuesday, Phoenix. And right now, I mean, kind of looks like they won't have to face Kevin Durant. If you didn't hear over the other night, he got hurt in warm-up, slipped on the court. And if you see the slow motion still photo, I mean, his ankle goes like 90 degrees there. So we'll see how long he's going to be out, but Bucks will return back home next Thursday as they take on the Pacers. But right now, we're just looking at 16 more games left in the regular season for the NBA. Just 16 for the Bucks, at least. Should put that on there. A little bit of a note for the Bucks. And right now, they're holding on to a 2.5 game lead over the Boston Celtics for first place in the Eastern Conference. Philadelphia is 4.5 back. They're in that 3 spot, kind of getting maybe a little bit of a separation here amongst the top 3 in the Eastern Conference. Bucks, Boston, Philly. Then you got Cleveland in that 4 spot, but they're 7 back from the Bucks. New York Knicks holding on to the 5 spot. Then you got Brooklyn rounding out the top 6. And so far right now, your play-in teams are Miami at 7, Atlanta at 8, Toronto at 9, and the Wizards coming in at number 10. Chicago, just a game back. Pacers, game and a half back. Denver, still holding on to that 1 seed in the West, but we got a little bit of a change now in that 2 spot. Sacramento Kings coming in at number 2. Memphis Grizzlies holding on at number 3. Sacramento and Memphis both have the same exact records here, but Sacramento holding on to a little bit of an advantage there. And obviously with the whole John Morant situation with Memphis, and it changes things up. But Sacramento hot, 8-2 in their last 10. We mentioned Bucks going to be going up against Sacramento Monday. Then Golden State's, they're holding on to that 6th spot just barely over the likes of the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Dallas Mavericks. Phoenix at 4. They're on a 4-game winning streak. So, but yeah, we'll talk some hoops, talk some NBA hoops coming up here. And just a little bit. College hoops, Marquette squeaking by St. John's in the Big East quarterfinal overtime game there. So as conference tournaments start to wrap up in the next couple days, and on Sunday there, we've got Selection Sunday coming up. Don't forget, you can pre-register for our bracket challenge, even if you are, not a big old college hoops fan, and maybe you haven't been following or don't pay attention. This is the year to probably do a bracket because it's kind of all over the place. This is the year to maybe try your hand at a bracket. It's free, and why not? You're going to win some prizes from our good friends over at Hy-Vee there. So why not? Just head up to our website. Okay, it's right on the homepage there. See that big old icon right in the middle? Sign up for free, pre-register, and you can start to make your picks on Sunday once we know what the brackets look like. So, will Marquette somehow can they inch into a 2 seed? I know all the bracketologies had them at a 3 seed, but what if they win the Big East? I mean, then you got to consider putting them at a 2 seed, don't you, Marquette? Right? Or are they going to stay at that 3 spot? Anybody got any early favorites before the brackets come out? Anybody have any early favorites on who you think's going to win the whole thing? Anybody? Anybody want to make a pick right now? You're going to go with Kansas, just go with a little traditional blue blood on there? Can Purdue going to represent the Big Ten? Think they can get her done this year? Marquette, maybe? Houston, UCLA, Alabama, Texas. What you got? Baylor, the 10th ranked team in the country, also falling too. So, but I don't know. I don't know how this thing's going to play out. I really don't have a good gauge right now. I don't. We got that on the docket. Still nothing from one certain quarterback out there, Aaron Rodgers. Now, Sauce Gardner, the young corner from the New York Jets, on his Twitch stream last night with Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall sitting next to him, said that if Aaron Rodgers does come to the Jets, it's a, quote, package deals all over. I can't tell you who, but just know. Now, I don't know if he actually would be privy to that sort of information. Maybe he knows a little bit, but now it's got everybody wondering who's the package deals. I kind of threw out a couple days ago, would one David Bakhtiari be a potential there? Because, I mean, we heard at the Combine that Goody was, Goody mentioned that they're working with Bakhtiari on a restructure. We have yet to hear about that. We know the Jets need a left tackle. Maybe throw a little Cobby, maybe a little Tunyon, maybe a little Mercedes, maybe a little Lazard. I don't know. But still nothing yet. Aaron Jones, and if you are a part of our, I got to come up with a better name. If anybody's got any suggestions for it, hit me up with it. Our little coffee clutch, our little water cooler talk, the thing we just started this week. Get an email every morning about one of the top questions or top topics that we're going to be chatting about this morning. But Aaron Jones and Leroy Butler recently talked about on the NFL Network, talked about Aaron Rodgers' legacy and obviously how much legacy means to him and such. In which that's something, obviously we've touched on a little bit too. But do you really think his legacy would take a hit if he were to play somewhere else? Some of the quotes from Aaron Jones and Leroy Butler. Jones first said, "You always hear him talk about legacy and tradition. That's something that he's big on, and he talks about it all the time in interviews. It'd be hard for me to see him leave Green Bay, the tradition, the history he has there. He's grown from a young boy to a man and beyond that in Green Bay. It's tough to see him go anywhere else. I just hope I don't have to see that. Leroy Butler, you got to think about legacy. I think that's what some people in Aaron's circle, as small as it is, his circle should say your legacy really is with the Packers. So if Rodgers does play for another team for a year or two, like a little Tom Brady-esque, how much would it really tarnish his legacy, if at all? Do you really think it would? Or do you think these are a teammate of his and a Packers icon just putting on a little bit of a recruiting pitch out there like, dude, you got to stay in this shade of green. Stay in the Midwest. No need to go to the East Coast. I don't know. And I know I kind of threw it out there yesterday, but in case you missed it, Diana Rossini was on the Dan Patrick Show yesterday. And she was the one who reported that the Jets were optimistic about their chances to land one Aaron Charles Rodgers. And DP had asked her about trade comp. And she got the sense that the Packers are being fair about this, and they're not necessarily asking for the moon for this, and I don't know what that would be. I would love at least a first round pick. I would love a whole lot more, but I really don't know what the market is. I'm not in those conversations. So, but if you haven't checked your emails, if you're not a part of our club yet, you should do so. Sign up so you can get the next one on Monday. But thanks to everybody who's already emailed back with their thoughts, with their picks, with their analysis. We'll go through that in just a little bit here. Throw a little baseball talk in here as well. We got Inside the Training Room with Dr. Crow coming up just past the 7 o'clock hour. So we will catch up with him as well. So we'll hit up a bunch of stuff. We got girls state basketball started off yesterday. Colfax, they fell to Laconia last night. Excuse me, Blair Taylor. And Blair Taylor's going to be in action later this morning, right after Chippewa Falls McDonald tips off at 9:05 this morning. So if you want updates, constant updates, make sure you're following our good buddy, Mr. Brandon Berg, who is probably heading over there right now. I would assume he's already been on the road and such. But last night, McDonald boys picking up the W over Thorpe. We'll see if they will also punch their ticket to state later this weekend. My Metford falling in Menominee last night to La Crosse Central, but shout out Metford Raiders there. But this weekend we will find out the boys teams who will be punching their tickets to state in Madison. But we got a bunch of other stuff we'll get to here as well. We'll do a little. What do we got on the dockets? Maybe we'll do a little bench start cut and cream of the crop and Carpet City Flooring Center local spotlight out there. But let's get things rolling here this morning. The leadoff, kind of do a little bit of a mixed bag. We'll throw some hoops talk in there. We got the NBA. We got college hoops, conference tournament starting to wrap, maybe kind of starting to wrap up here in the next couple of days, definitely by this weekend. But is there for all of you college hoopsters or maybe getting ready for the brackets, is there one team that you're kind of leading towards maybe picking to be your national champion? Or do you legit I have no idea what in the world I'm going to do with my bracket? What do you think? You can start to hit me up with a quick text on the Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912, Twitter at DAN. KASPER, Facebook.com/Kasper Sports. So we'll take that first break, and then we'll get things rolling off this morning on the leadoff. We'll talk some hoops. We'll talk some NBA, Bucks, college hoops. Don't forget to answer that question about Aaron Charles Rodgers. Do you really think his legacy would take a hit if he played elsewhere? Starting next week, we've got a lot of stuff in the works here. Kind of little spring sports madness. Obviously, with the brackets coming out next week, we've got that bracket challenge over there. But we're going to be over, or at least I'll be over there for Hy-Vee for a couple hours from about 12 to 2. That is also St. Patrick's Day. But Fridays during the basketball games, you're going to get a free beer from Hy-Vee over there, so you can take advantage of that. Otherwise, during the games as well, like Thursday, and then after your free beer on Friday and Saturday and Sunday, you got $2 Man Cave Lights going on, a little on tap there, the pints there. So that's a lot of fun there. And then the 30th opening day, we're gonna have a grill out opening day over at Hy-Vee, doing some burgers, doing some brats, watching the Brewers take on the Cubs, and we are going to be giving away 4 tickets to a Brewers versus Cubs game on July 4th. So July 4th, the day game there in Milwaukee. Enter for your chance to win it. Plus, we're going to do some stuff for Backyard Dreams that day. So put that on your calendar, March 30th. It is a day game. And then we've got we got some fun stuff planned for April 7th, which is the second round of the Masters. But shout out to our friends from Carpet City Flooring Center. They're putting together a putting green for us for a little putting competition for some prizes, including a free team into the Casper Classic this year. So that's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to be doing the show live as well. So that's got a lot of stuff happening. And then we got the Packers Tailgate Tour. I'll be emceeing that on the 11th, and then NFL Draft. So we got a lot of stuff coming up. You can check out our Facebook page and websites for all the schedules and details coming up here too. So we got a couple of Surveyor pick in Houston, Dark Horse Sweet 16 team, Oral Roberts. We got Brian with an email with our kind of water cooler coffee clutch question of the day. They're talking about Rodgers' legacy, where Aaron Jones and Leroy Butler kind of talking about Aaron's legacy and why he needs to stay with Green Bay. Brian saying, I don't think it would tarnish his image at all. This is nothing like the Favre saga. Back in the day, Favre did this to the Packers fans at least 3 years in a row. And then the last offseason being the worst, he couldn't make up his mind. And that put the team and the organization in a bind. They had to move forward for training camp. I know to many it may seem like Rodgers is dragging us out, but those that lived the Favre soap opera remember all too clearly how he drug it out. Both will go down as two of the greatest quarterbacks to play for the Packers, and heck, for that matter, the entire NFL. Until he starts sending, I don't know if I can say this, until he starts sending some pictures and cheats on his wife and goes to the Vikings, his legacy is a little higher than Favre's, in my opinion. Ryan also saying Favre kind of dumped on the organization. He still came back a hero. Aaron has been pretty much a good soldier, and he should feel free to explore other options. Legacy not tarnished. Thanks, from Ryan. So we'll get more of your thoughts on that coming up here in just a little bit. But let's talk some hoops. Kind of another question we threw out there. If you have that one team, as we are starting to wrap up some conference tournaments, they'll be completed this weekend. Selection Sunday coming up on Sunday. Is there a team that you're kind of leaning towards picking in your bracket challenge, or are you like me right now, and maybe like a lot of people, you have no idea how you're going to fill out your bracket right now?
I have no idea either, but I think one team, they're not, you wouldn't call them a dark horse in normal years, but I think Duke is getting better. They got a lot of freshmen, and they're getting better. They didn't have a great season, but they look like, I watched the last 2 or 3 games that they've played, they're getting better. I don't know if they're getting good enough to go all the way to the Final Four, but I think they're going to surprise a few people in the tournament.
They are kind of quietly getting better over there. They cracked the top 25 in the latest rankings to come out there. So, for the longest time, we didn't hear a whole lot about Duke. North Carolina just lost the other night, so maybe they're that was a team that came in preseason ranked number one, and they might not even make the tournament at this point.
Everybody says they're not.
Yeah, so you look at them. I mean, if with Wisconsin, I don't know about you, Bob, but I feel like they're not going to make it. They're not going to make it in the tournament.
I don't think. And I watch a lot of these other teams that are in other conferences, and they say North Carolina isn't going to make it. North Carolina is a lot better than Wisconsin.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned. I mean, tremendously disappointed. The Badgers were ranked, I don't know, 12th, 13th after about 10 or 11, 12 games. And, they were like 11-2, 11-3. And what did they end up?
As soon as Big Ten started, they just plummeted.
Yeah, and we've talked all about their problems, their challenges, and what limitations, but it is what it is. I mean, they're not good. I don't think, are they going to get a bid? I don't think so. Do they deserve a bid? I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're NIT, not in the tournament.
Nice, not a boy there, intern. So, but yeah, I right now I have no idea and I don't even know if honestly seeds matter for me with this bracket, like the matchups and that. Just because I mean Houston, UCLA probably going to get the 1 seeds there. Then you got Kansas and Alabama. Some people kind of thought maybe could Purdue get in there. Marquette has been like a 3 seed, but they're the 6th ranked team in the country. If they win the Big East tournament, could they maybe go up to a 2 seed?
It'll be interesting to see what the committee does on Sunday, but I think it's a foregone conclusion. The Badgers are done. Michigan's done. And I watched last night. The Badgers, well, they take everybody to the end of the game, and sometimes if the team's worse than them, they can beat them, but not very often this year, unfortunately. I watched Minnesota play last night. That's a terrible basketball. I hate to say that. And I'm just saying that because, they're a team the Badgers couldn't blow out or control.
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota is not a good basketball team. I watched them last night, and, just some of the basics of defensive positioning and rebounding and, shot making. They're not a good team.
Yeah.
And so Wisconsin's right in that category.
Yeah. I agree with you. So we got a couple picks. I'm going with UCLA for my national champion. A couple more for Houston here. Ben's going with Kansas, it looks like. We got Kevin's going with Alabama on there. I like it. Give me all the parity on this one, baby.
I think going to say the same thing. Boy, you were talking about a guessing game. This is it. Watch. This will be the year where somebody gets the whole bracket right.
Right, yeah.
One of those things, because it's gonna be really a mad dash to the finish, because there are a lot of teams that are good, but is there that one team that's head and shoulders? Not even close.
No, because how many times have we seen it this year where that number 1 ranked team, as soon as they've gotten to the number 1 spot, it seems like then they lost, the following week, all the shuffling around, up there. Houston's 29-2, but UCLA, they got 4 losses, Kansas 6 losses, Alabama 5 losses, Purdue 5 losses on there too. So and this is why, like, if you've never really done a bracket, or you're just like, I don't follow college basketball, and that's why you should sign up for our bracket challenge this year, because it literally is anybody's ball game this year.
Yeah, it really is. And whoever can come through this is gonna be something. But I think there are, again, a lot of teams that are on the bubble that are going to cause some problems for the teams you just mentioned, the Houstons, the Alabama, the UCLAs, and on Purdue's, and on and on and on. I don't think Purdue's going to get very far. I don't think they've got good enough guard play. You look at all these teams, and they all have some weaknesses. It's just which ones can control their weaknesses more than some of the other teams. I think it's going to be quite a tournament this year.
I'm excited for it. It's Wisconsin not being in it's disappointing, but hey, now I don't have to have that pressure of trying to pick them to go far in there. Yeah. I can just have a little fun.
I think it'd be a major upset if they did make it.
Yeah.
I can't imagine why they, you lose your first game, and Ohio State played a couple of nice games in the tournament. But boy, I tell you, I don't understand how the Badgers could ever even come close to getting a sniff.
Yeah, I agree. I know a lot of them still have them as a first 4 team out with all that bracketology out there, but I can't see it happening. So keep your picks coming. I got to minimize this because we got more text coming in here about some picks. I don't want to get too distracted there, but it's all over the place. There's like no clear majority at this point.
And that's where it's going to be. And it depends. A lot of people are fans of a certain team, like a fan of Duke. And I'm not a fan of Duke, but I try to watch it objectively. And I see Duke as a team that is getting better. Kentucky's getting a little better as well. So there are some teams out there that have been kind of under the radar all year because they haven't been all that good in the regular season. But now as the season gets towards the end, they're coming out a little bit.
Yeah. And you look at that Texas team there as well. And remember, they they essentially lost their head coach because Chris Beard, if you remember earlier in the season, was arrested. And they've gone, with I guess, would you say interim? I don't know if Rodney Terry, who's their coach right now, has been labeled the new head coach or such. But I think give Texas a lot of credit, with that situation, and they're having a heck of a season. They're playing, above and of all that distraction, if you will, and such.
Yeah, they won last night. They're still in the tournament, so they're still going.
Yep. And so maybe kind of keep an eye out for Texas over there too. That would be a heck of a story there if they win. And that's the thing too. It's like Shaka Smart came over from Texas a couple of years ago. You look at Texas and Marquette. Maybe that was something that was better, that worked out for both parties at that point.
And don't count Marquette out. I don't. They've got some nice players, and they won a game last night that was a little closer than it probably should have been
against St. John's and OT.
Yeah, and they handled them twice earlier in the year, but they won. And you get down to this time of the year, you learn how to play in pressure situations. That's what Marquette got into last night. So there are some teams that you just don't know right now this time of the year. There really are some teams up there that could really, really slay a dragon, so to speak.
Yeah, and you talk about, everybody says when it comes to the tournament, it's about guard play.
That's why I don't think Purdue can go very far.
Yeah, and Marquette, well, they got 3 guards in their lineup over there too. Tyler Kolek and is it Cam Jones over there too? So, but I mean, I know I've asked you about this before. You're a Badger alum. Do you have it? Can you cheer for Marquette?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Do you know of any Badger fans
Marquette alums can't cheer for the Badgers for whatever reason, but I can cheer for Marquette.
So do you know any Badger alums that can't cheer for Marquette?
Not really.
So it's mostly you think Marquette can't just cheer for Wisconsin?
Yeah, for whatever reason. I don't know if there is an inside story why Marquette is just so anti-Badger fans. I don't know why that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always kind of wondered about that. Like you hear about but I can cheer for both. I didn't go to either school. I went to UW Eau Claire. So
yeah, I went to one, and I watched Marquette. Watching Al McGuire and those guys down there when they had that team in '77 and won. I cheered for them all the way, and I have no problem. When they play Wisconsin, I'm obviously going to cheer for Wisconsin.
Right.
But I have no problem supporting Marquette now in the tournament.
I think, honestly, for my time frame, I knew about Marquette, but I've told this story before. Like, I remember, video games, and my uncle would always kind of play college basketball when they used to do video games for college basketball, and he always picked Marquette. And I was just a young guy. And I'd be like, why are you picking a team from Michigan? Because as a young, I didn't know a whole lot about Marquette during that time. I was like, Marquette, Michigan. Why? What's the? And I'm like, oh, that's actually there. And then Dwayne Wade and all that when I was in high school came through. So it's like, okay, now I know a little bit more about Marquette. But there was that time I was like, I don't know a whole lot about Marquette.
No.
So,
and I remember. I'm old enough. I'll date myself. I remember when Marquette had a football team and used to play the Badgers.
Yeah.
Before they eliminated that program. I mean, they obviously went so far downhill, it was kind of like playing the Blue Goals. So Marquette just eliminated their football program, which obviously was probably a pretty smart thing to do. But their basketball program is top program in the country. It has been for a long time.
Yeah, I would say it's trending up more than Badgers right now.
Oh, there's no question about that.
Yep. So
and there's a difference between a public institution and private institution can set their own rules as far as getting kids into school versus Wisconsin. But Marquette is a very, very good academic school. I'm not throwing any stones at Marquette by any means, but you kind of deal with apples and oranges when you talk about some of those things.
Well, I mean, they did admit Tommy Boy, so I mean, I don't want the baseline might be a little low there. At least it was back then. So
well, Tommy Boy made a lot of money, I'll tell you that. So his college degree must have been worth something.
Well, when you go to 7 years, that's not they're called doctors. So
most of the time.
Except for my buddy Jake, who went 7 years, and he's not even close to being a doctor. So we'll just say that. Switching over to the box, sticking with hoops here though for a little bit.
Just keep rolling.
Yeah, even without Giannis, didn't play last night due to what they're saying right hand soreness. I'm wondering if that's just another word for load management. But I don't know. I honestly don't think I've heard right hand soreness as an injury designation before. And I'm not picking on Giannis because I feel like Giannis would be one of those that he would play every time he could go out there. So I was like, right hand soreness.
I think he bit his finger eating a Culver's Butterburger.
Something. But hey, shout out to Bobby Portis and Brooke Lopez because they helped lead the way. Brooke Lopez might be getting back into the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year last night. He almost had a triple-double.
With blocks,
With blocks. Yeah. 9 blocks last night for Mr. Splash Mountain himself, Brooke Lopez. I feel like Brooke Lopez has been, he started off the season obviously with all those blocks and his defensive play, but I also feel like he's kind of gone under a little bit for the most part this season. I think under the radar just how solid he has been. Because was it last offseason? Maybe it was the offseason prior. I mean, I know we all had the discussion. There's some people out there like, do you trade Brooke Lopez for somebody else? But I feel like he's just kind of quietly gone out there and had himself a season so far this year, a very nice season for this Bucks team. And I think you can make the case where, they're 48-18 right now. And I think a big part of that is Brooke Lopez. We talk about Giannis and Drew Holiday. Chris Middleton was back in the lineup the other night and looked like the old Chris Middleton. But Brooke Lopez is still there doing his thing. Bobby Portis gets a lot of attention and such. But Brooke Lopez, man, I think he's and he's an older guy too. He ain't no spring chicken out there, but he's getting it done. He's averaging 15.2 points per game this year, which is third best on this Bucks team. You talk about the blocks; it's up to 2.5 per game. So I just feel like he's kind of been an underappreciated player this year.
I agree with you, but I think it goes back to, we'll use the football analogy of Bill Belichick. What does he tell his players? Do your job.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he does, what Lopez does. He does his job and he's comfortable. These guys have been with the Bucks now for a few years and know their job. It's going to be the main scorers, but I can throw in 20 points too, and I can get a lot of blocks. I can get a lot of rebounds, and I think he's just comfortable in what they want him to do, and that's right in his wheelhouse of what his skill set is. So I think that goes a long way to the success of this team because, and I don't think Budenholzer gets enough credit for putting these guys in a position where they can succeed. And I mean, it goes right down the line. Grayson Allen and on and on and on. These guys. They're playing Carter and Connaughton, and the whole list goes on and on and on. These guys are comfortable in what they're being asked to do, and so they're doing it.
Yeah.
And I think Lopez falls right into that category.
He's averaging 15.2 points per game, which is the most he's ever averaged during his time with the Bucks. In fact, this is the most points he's averaged per game since going back to his Brooklyn Nets days in 2016 when he averaged 20.5 points per game. He's averaging 6.6 rebounds per game, which is the most at any point since you got to go back to 2015-16 when he was with the Brooklyn Nets. He's averaging 2.5 blocks, which is the most in his entire career. He did average 2.4 for the Bucks in 2019. So, I mean, he's getting older, but he's putting up some of his best numbers in a lot of these categories since he's been with the Bucks since 2018 at this point. And he's played 65 games. Last year, we know, he was recovering from, that back surgery and such. So he only played 13 games at that point. But so far this year, he's played 65 out of 66 games. Dude's been healthy.
He has been, and when you watch him play, you think he had a back injury, and you know that anybody that's had any back problems know how excruciating, painful some of that can be. And he's been in the league for quite a while now.
Yeah.
But you watch him, you don't block shots standing on your feet.
Yeah.
He can still get off the ground. And he's very, very athletic from what you would expect. So I think he's a real diamond in the rough. And as he gets more mature in the league, he's getting better.
His first season, I was in college still, 2008.
Yeah.
2008, 2009 was his first season.
He and his brother came out of Stanford, didn't they?
Yeah. Yep, kind of the Twin Towers over there in Stanford. So, but I think Brooke Lopez too is still the leading scorer in Brooklyn Nets history, team scorer in Brooklyn Nets history.
He might be with KD and Kyrie Irving gone now. He might be.
Yeah, but it's just when you kind of look at it, it's like All right. And you look at his field goal percentage too. It's the highest he's had. He's shooting 51.4% from the field. That is the highest in his career if you count this year, or if you count the 2013 season when he only played 17 games. But it's clearly the highest throughout his entire Bucks career. His three-point percentage is the highest. He's shooting 38.3% from three this year, highest at any point in his career. And you look at this, and he's a pretty darn good three-point shooter for a big, right?
Yes, he is.
You look at his first few seasons in the league, from 2008 to 2000 and for his first 5, 6, 7 years in the season, shot 0 of them. None. 0.
Really?
Yeah.
And people say, I don't enjoy watching the NBA. They throw up all those long shots. And I was kind of getting to that. And then this year, for whatever reason, I started watching more of the NBA. Still, I mean, even with the Bucks, I've still never watched a whole game from start to finish because of what it is. But I'm coming to admire more and more. They say all they do is run down and throw it up. More and more the ability of so many of these guys to shoot three-pointers. I mean, you watch a game and there'll be 6 or 7 in a row that'll go in. Then they'll miss 1 or 2. Then they'll make 5 or 6 or 7 more. I mean, it's almost like a layup for some of these guys, especially the better players. But you watch them shoot three-point baskets, and you got to admire what they can do. I think that Euro step, I don't like the Euro step because I just don't. But the three-point shot, I'm really amazed at how good they are at it.
Yeah, makes me a little jealous.
Oh man! And you go out and try it some. Go to the Y or go to a high school gym and just shoot from where the high schoolers are, and then move back. I don't know, was it about 3 feet deeper is where the pros are from. And, even as Caitlin Clark, this girl from Iowa.
Yeah, she's shooting it from the logo.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's a 3 from the logo, they say.
Yep.
I mean, it's, and she's just a little sprout. And you try and shoot that. It's an effort.
She's one of the best shooters in all of college basketball, not just women's. All college basketball.
I think Iowa missed a great chance last year to raise some money for their athletic department by having who was the guy that was the little guy that was seemed like he played at Iowa forever. He had
Bohannon?
Bohannon had brothers that played at Wisconsin. If they'd have had her, Caitlin Clark, and Bohannon have a three-point shooting contest and charge admission, they'd have filled the Carver Hawkeye Auditorium but they never did it. And I think they missed a good opportunity there because that would have been fun.
I think I'd put money on Caitlin Clark too.
Well, I'll tell you, they were both excellent. I mean, I don't know where Bohannon is now, but I thought, jeepers, what a fundraiser for the athletic department. People would have paid big dollars for that.
Yeah,
because you could have put seats almost right on the floor, but the 3-point line, and then see how far out they could go.
Yep,
it would have been fun. But
I would have done if I was around there. I'd go to watch that.
I would have too.
Yep.
So, but again, it was. It's great fun to watch her play.
It really is. And then I know Paige at UConn coming back too. Girls college basketball too. It's been a lot of fun with that talent lately.
Yeah,
so.
And unfortunately, being a girls basketball, unfortunately, Colfax lost last night in the WIA girls tournament of Green Bay.
Laconia.
Yeah, Lacrosse Aquinas won. What, 9 o'clock or a little after?
9:05. McDonald will be tipping off, and then right after that, you got Blair Taylor. Be about 20 minutes after the conclusion of that game.
Brandon's over there following
yeah, he had to cover McDonald boys against Thorpe last night, so he's on the road early this morning.
Hopefully they got the roads plowed.
Yeah, McDonald boys beating Thorpe last night too, and my Medford Raiders falling to Lacrosse Central in a rematch from the sectional final last year. But
are they in the same division?
Division 2, yeah.
Wow.
D2.
Medford's growing, and of course, I wonder if they're still talking about in lacrosse making one high school.
Yeah, I heard them.
I don't know. That was a year or so ago. I heard that. I don't know if that conversation is still going on or not. But boy, that would be a change to the landscape.
Yeah, I know. Well, the big one now is, and we talked about it the last couple of days, and Brandon did a great job for us breaking it down yesterday too with the Memorial North football moving conferences. So
is that finalized?
Finalized. Yep, they're moving to Wisconsin Valley, so that'll be starting in 2024 for a couple of years with a mandatory crossover game between Big Rivers and Wisconsin Valley.
Well,
so we'll just say a lot of people are not happy about it.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. I've expressed
a lot
my
of
opinion.
fans.
I mean,
and I don't think, and I don't want to put anybody on that spot.
No.
But I don't think anybody like the coaches or anything would say anything bad about publicly or anything like that. But I'll just say from the people who chimed in with us.
Go have a beer with them sometime.
Yeah, I will just say the people who chimed in with us, they're not happy. So.
Well, I can't imagine who the WIA listened to in making that decision, because if our administrators and principals and athletic directors didn't oppose it, I'd be very surprised. And if they did, I don't know how strongly they opposed it. But you're talking a lot more expense now. You're going to hire rent buses, and you don't take school buses that far.
Mm-hmm.
Menominee is one thing, and Chippewa Falls is another thing. But you talk about the end of a tradition.
Mm-hmm.
That's not. Obviously, I'm not in favor of it, but. The WIA works in strange ways, unfortunately, and to the betterment of the WIA, not necessarily the high schools.
I think the one thing too, and I'll be curious about this. So with that mandatory crossover, point superior, if there's ever a point superior versus game, because there's going to be that's a heck of a trip.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That's like, okay, and I know non-conference games sometimes teams will travel far for that.
Sure.
I know when I was in high school, went up to Escanaba, Michigan, for a non-conference game or something like that. There's those games out there. So, and
but
our
those
conference
are exceptions to the rule,
right? And I know our conference back in the good old lumberjack days, the closest one we had from Medford was like Tomahawk or Park Falls or Phillips. We had Ashland and Minocqua in our conference. So as a kid, you liked it when you left because you left school at 1:00.
Yep, exactly.
But coming back sucked.
Yeah, we used to go Racine and Kenosha from Madison. We used to go all the way to Racine and Kenosha and play. Kenosha's 100 miles, and so you take a motor coach. You just don't. But anyway, I'm sorry to see that happen. I don't
this
like
was the
it.
day before cell phones, so we could be on Facebook or Twitter or TikTok.
Oh yeah,
we had to look out the window. That was our entertainment.
Oh, our entertainment was taking the sophomores in the back of the bus.
What did you do?
Anybody, you got a little hazing program with tape and wintergreen. And...
Oh my goodness!
Well, I got it too when I was a sophomore, so payback, as they say, can be HELL.
Wow!
But no, it's. I'm sorry to see that happen because the tradition of playing
the history
Menominee and Chippewa Falls and. It just Hudson. It's too bad.
Yep, I agree. All right, we got to take a really quick break. We're already through the first hour, and then right after that, we're going to catch up with our good buddy Dr. Crow for a little inside the training room just past 7:00 this morning. Got the Wisconsin Sports Show coming up next Friday, starting next Friday, a week from today, going through next weekend, March 17th through the 19th. $7 for anybody 12 and older, 11 and younger are free. Going on at the Chippewa Valley Expo Center. For more details, you can head to wisportshow.com. But getting ready maybe for a little fishing and all that fun stuff. It's the Wisconsin Sports Show Spring Edition. Also, too, if you head to our website, sportstalk1051.com, and you want to head to the Brewers home opener against the New York Mets on April 3rd, still got a few seats left on that Brewers bus trip. So, again, just head to our website or wiscotrips.com and reserve your seats. That'll include going to be grilling up some brats, tickets on the Johnsonville party deck, all that good stuff there. So that should be a lot of fun there on April 3rd, the home opener. Bus will leave Sam's Club here in Eau Claire at 7:30 a.m. 7:30
And there will be a game.
There will be a game, guaranteed, right? Unless something really dramatic happens. So I guess 99%.
I'd say it's more than that.
99.9%.
There you go. That's better.
All right. So we're going to catch up with Dr. Crow coming up here in just a few minutes for another edition of Inside the Training Room, brought to you by Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. After that, we'll hit up a little football talk here with free agency starting next week. That was kind of the deadline that we were all expecting from a decision on Aaron Charles Rodgers. Could we have a Friday news dump later today with a decision finally made? We'll hit that up. And do you agree with what Leroy Butler and Aaron Jones kind of said about Aaron's legacy? If you missed that email from us this morning for part of our coffee clutch water cooler topic question of the day, we'll hit that up coming up in the next hour. But check your emails if you're part of our club, and then you can respond quicker that way. All right, 1 in, 2 more to go. We'll be back after these quick words. All right, second hour kicking off on this Friday of March 10th. Appreciate y'all tuning in, however and wherever you may be tuning in. We know that we got a little bit of snow out there, so be careful out on the roads. We do have some delays to begin your mornings, but if you want to check out that list, you can head to our website, sportstalk1051.com. Brought to you by Hovland's and Service Master of Chippewa Valley. But, you got Mondovi's delayed a couple hours. Independence is delayed a couple of hours. Fall Creek delayed a couple hours. Aliva Strum delayed a couple of hours. Black River Falls also delayed a couple of hours. So, kiddos, get out there and shovel the driveway for your parents.
Yeah, we got 5 or 6 inches around here.
A little bit more than what I walked out this morning. I was like, what the heck?
So more than I thought we'd have too.
Exactly. We're going to get to a little football talk here in just a second. But we lead things off here, as we usually do every Friday morning, with our guy, Mr. Crow. I think we might have lost Dr. Crow. You there?
I'm here.
No, we got a little. It sounds a little off right there. Why don't you try giving us a call back if you don't mind, Dr. Crow? We got a little staticky, there. So I don't know. Technology, huh?
Yeah, the tower must have snow on it or something, and the dish must have snow on it or something. But weather. Even modern technology, weather can affect it a whole lot with these satellite dishes and all the other things that we have out on these towers.
So, yeah.
Haven't figured out Mother Nature yet.
Not yet. I don't know if we ever will, right?
I don't think we ever will.
So one of our more kind of our coffee clutch, water cooler, I got to come up with a better name for the email that we send out every morning or so. But we've been asking, will the potential of Aaron Rodgers moving to another team affect his legacy? We'll go through what Aaron Jones and Leroy Butler had to say. We'll see if you agree with him or not. Let's try the phone again. Oh, that sounds a lot better. Good morning, Dr. Crow. How you doing?
Fantastic.
Attaboy. Hey, I want to start things off with the NFL Combine. So it wrapped up last week. But this offensive lineman from USC, Andrew Voorhees, he tore his ACL at the NFL Combine. But the dude went ahead and bench pressed 38 reps on the bench press, 225. I mean, he walked in, on crutches and his knee brace and all that sort of stuff. I mean, just how impressive was that for a guy to tear his ACL? And I know it's upper body. Some people say it's lower body, but it's still pretty darn impressive to go out there and put up 38 reps on that thing, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because when people use good form with benching, they're usually their feet are grounded, so you kind of lose a point of contact with that. Absolutely, obviously it shows his grit. You feel bad for the athlete, and I mean, I think we kind of touched on this last week about some of the former players are talking about is the combine necessary because they feel like it's has some of these risks as among some of the problems, but. It's always sad to see an athlete get injured like this, but it's unfortunately part of the game. But it was impressive to see his grit to come back and do that.
Yeah, no doubt. So I know he's going to miss this year, but you kind of wonder with what he was able to do there, maybe he'll still get drafted fairly high in this draft or something. But
certainly could happen.
Hey, I got Kevin Durant. I'm sure maybe you saw the clip the other day, but he got hurt in warmups. He sprained his ankle in the still frame. I mean, it looked like his ankle went 90 degrees, and it looked like a basic, layup drill there. And we know Kevin Durant wears a bigger size shoe. Does that have any effect? Well, do you think wearing a bigger size shoe? Because I think it was somebody was calling him out for how he wears a bigger size shoe, and could that, leave him more susceptible to injuries like this? Is there any truth to that? Because I think he wears a size bigger, and Bucks fans know that because it was literally by an inch when he. That three-pointer from a couple of years ago.
That's right. I do remember that shot. I would say if a shoe's not tight-fitting, it certainly could. I mean, really, what happens with an ankle sprain? I mean, there's a lot of different mechanisms, but the most common one is essentially your weight's going one way, you try to go somewhere else, and when the foot's planted, the ankle begins to roll. Our body, of course, wants to resist that. So there's muscles and ligaments that help resist that, and so it tries to keep the foot in a neutral position. Well, if you're in a shoe that allows the foot to slide, it's going to allow it to kind of have some momentum or inertia to begin a strain, I suppose. It's obviously not like a classic thing that we think of when we see repeated ankle sprains, but I don't think having a loose, larger shoe would be a good idea.
Yeah, interesting. And sticking with the NBA, Luka Doncic, the other day he had said that his thigh injury wasn't. He kind of like made Dallas Mavericks fans nervous, kind of talking about it sounded like it was a serious injury, but Adrian Wojnarowski said his MRI on his thigh is clean and is expected to return soon. When you hear a guy talk about his thigh, is would you suspect maybe like a quad injury, something associated to that?
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be quad would be by far number one. Whether it be muscular or tendinous, certainly a tendon injury is the potential for something serious. But he never had like an explicit like one injury pop. So that's how you have like a quad tendon rupture. They're not super common in young athletes, but I think Victor Oladipo had one a handful of years ago. But that's serious, right? That's going to be surgery, season ending. If you're talking about muscle tendinous injuries, I mean, that's more in the line of like the muscle sprain. So, or strain, I should say. So those are the things that you're going to see much more commonly. And those, of course, do have levels of severity, and they can be pretty significant and serious. But for this, especially with a quote unquote clean MRI, it's going to be relatively mild, and hopefully he's bouncing back soon.
Yeah, no doubt. Like they told me I tore my quad. I was college hoops, and the best way I could describe it was like it felt like, Austin, a hot golf ball inside my thigh. That was the best way I could describe. Like it felt like there was a golf ball and it was hot always in there. It was so weird feeling. And I just remember going up for a layup, and that's when I felt it.
Yeah. I mean, it really, at the end of the day, what you're doing is tearing muscle fibers, right? So whether it's straight in the muscle belly or more commonly at the musculotendinous junction, that's essentially what you're doing. So even though it's just a strain and it doesn't sound that bad, I mean, it can be pretty bad. I mean, and there's to the point where people can miss, frankly, sometimes months. But if it's an injury to that level, the MRI would show a large amount of probably bleeding in the muscle belly. So with a negative MRI, it's going to be much more mild than that.
Doctor, good morning. Bob here. Quick question. Something I've heard for years and just took it as it was. But I heard an athlete had a stress fracture. And a fracture to me is a broken bone or something. But what is a stress fracture? Is it still a broken bone with more stress, or what is a stress fracture?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's actually kind of a spectrum. So when we talk about stress fractures, if you get to the point where it's a true stress fracture, there is actually a full break. So often when you hear people talk about I have a stress fracture, they're actually one step below that in what's called the stress reaction. Or even beyond that, you can get, it's like the term that we use, shin splints. There really is no such thing as shin splints. That's a kind of a wastebasket term. There's something called medial tibial stress syndrome. And then beyond that, you go stress reaction, and then you can get actual fracture. So to answer your question explicitly, essentially what it is repetitive microtrauma that causes damage in the actual structure of the bone. And over time, if you don't address it correctly, with generally it means rest, the injury will build to the point where you not only have microscopic damage, you can actually have a crack that develops in the bone. And so it's pretty atypical to get to that point because the pain gets pretty severe, but unfortunately we do occasionally see it. It's often in really hardcore endurance athletes. So people training for like Ironman, marathons, things like that, where people are just pushing and they have pain and like, I'm just going to push through this, and you push it one step too far and bang, there it goes.
Yeah. You must have read my mind, Austin, because I was going to ask you about shin splints when you were talking about that. It was like, that was the first thing I was going to ask you about. So there really isn't like a real thing called shin splints. It's kind of what you just you explained there.
Correct. Yeah. People use it as a collective term of like shin pain with runners and jumpers and stuff. So you can theoretically get some tendonitis issues on the lateral side, but any anterior or medial shin pain is the bone. I mean, that's the only thing that's there really. And so you can have, again, the kind of more mild spectrum, which is called medial tibial stress syndrome. And then beyond that, you get to in these kind of stress reactions, and then to the point where it's actual stress fracture. And you can get where you actually get an x-ray and you see this little black line across the bone. It's actually called the dreaded black line.
Nice.
Pretty catchy term.
Right.
And so if you're to the point where you have that, you're probably going to be treated as if like you have a standard fracture. You'll get a rod put in your tibia. So, that's a challenging situation where you have athletes that have these problems. and you try telling them you need to dial back, and some people just aren't receptive to that, and it can be dangerous.
Yeah, because I mean, I thought I had shin splints. I remember I had to pop pills, like pain pills, just to get through because it was so painful down there just to run, getting through a game or something like that. Well, now I'm going to sound like I was actually tougher that I got through. I'm going to use those fancy
words.
I
played through a broken bone.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Hey, baseball, Carlos Rodon, he's a pitcher. He's going to be beginning the season on IL because they're calling it a left forearm strain. So what in the forearm could he have strained, or what's going to be causing him to miss the beginning part of the baseball season?
Generally, that would be probably wrist or finger flexors. So that's going to be, kind of the muscles when you flex your fist and you see the muscles on the inner part of your arm kind of bulge out. Those are all the wrist and finger flexors. Obviously, those are very, very intimately involved in throwing, right? So when you throw a baseball, you cock your wrist back, and part of the fingers and wrists come forward in the throwing motion. So it's not a super common injury, truthfully, but certainly we do see it. And so it can be kind of in the overuse family where you can actually get tendinitis of those. So either at the wrist or up into the forearm a little bit, or it can actually be in the muscle belly, like we were just talking about earlier, just like quad injuries. Those muscles are no different. You can have injuries of either the muscular tendon junction, or the tendon themselves.
Do you think a lot of that has, like with the forearm, and this could just be completely, I'm making this up, but like how they grip the football and how they, or the baseball and how they release that?
It certainly can play a role. I mean, throwing mechanics are an incredibly complex motion, right? So, and there's a million ways that do it. If you see pitchers throw, I mean, they all do it a little differently. Generally, it's the kind of the initial part of the delivery that's different. Once they get to the actual throwing mechanics, it's actually fairly similar, but the differences are real. And so that can put different torques across the shoulder, elbow, and the forearm and hand are probably no different. So I think that certainly maybe someone who throws different pitches put different stresses across the forearm and hand. So I bet that does play a role.
Brock Purdy is finally getting surgery, it sounds like today. So I know you and I have talked about him quite a bit, but we had a texter kind of wanted to get your thoughts on Brock Purdy. So maybe kind of revisit this if you don't mind, Dr. Grove, but it sounds like he's finally getting surgery on his elbow. And do you think it's still maybe kind of more like, hey, once we, lack of a better phrase of saying this, once we cut open his elbow, then we'll know a little bit more of what they have to do?
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely surgeries where we have that. I mean, that's not an uncommon thing to do. It'd be a little interesting to me, and I know we talked about this, like why the delay, and that is definitely a head scratcher. So when they're talking about doing that repair with the internal brace that we had talked about previously, usually want to do that in the relatively acute setting, meaning close to the injury, because what you're trying to do is get the native ligament to heal in. And so if you're doing that, you want to do it as close to the injury as possible. So this delay makes it seem like maybe more we're looking at a reconstruction, which would be the quote unquote Tommy John surgery.
Interesting. So that's, I don't know. This is just a weird thing. Like, and I feel bad for the guy because, we're in March, Austin. You kind of wonder, is that going to affect his ability maybe to win a starting job for the 49ers this year?
I mean, I would say yes. I mean, you have to wonder if you're looking at the timeline, especially if they go in there and do the reconstruction. I can tell you he will not be throwing a football in all likelihood. Man. So this season at least. So it does make you wonder if that's where it's going.
Dr. Crow, appreciate it as always, buddy. Catching up with you. Always love our chats on Fridays. Make sure you're following Dr. Crow on Twitter now, everybody. So he's got that Twitter account. I've been kind of seeing your tweets on when you chime in with some other ortho guys out there, guys and gals. So it's good stuff. Appreciate it as always, buddy. And we'll catch up again next week, sir.
Absolutely. You guys take care.
You got it. Dr. Crow inside the training room, Chippewa Valley Orthopedics Sports Medicine.
Good guy to have on. Explains a lot of things that, you hear these things and all they do is report them. But what does that mean?
Yeah.
And what does it take to recover? And how long is the recovery going to take? You have surgery, or you just take time to heal, an ice pack and a little mud and go play or whatever. But
I'm going to sound tougher now. I'm not going to say I had shin splints. I had a broken leg and I was playing. So thanks, Dr. Crow.
I'll tell you, those things hurt, those shin splints.
Oh, God, yeah, they do.
Holy moly. I had them one time. That
Not
was
fun.
That was enough.
Hey, shout out to Clay, Service Master, Chippewa Valley, dropping off some coffee for all of us here. So big thanks to Clay for that. So Clay's a good guy, big supporter of what we do over here. So
You
big
bet.
thanks
Good
to Clay.
stuff.
Okay.
Hope he dropped off a lot of cream to put in.
Let's take a quick break, and we're going to talk a little football here. Are we going to get a Friday news dump today? Is that when we're going to find out? We got the legal tampering period beginning on Monday, which, as we all know, that's kind of the start of free agency for the NFL, which was kind of the soft deadline that we thought we would know about Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Jones and Leroy Butler talked a little bit about his legacy when they were on the NFL Network the other day and saying that's why Aaron needs to stay with Green Bay. But let me ask you, do you think his legacy actually would be affected if he played for a different team for a year or two? Got some responses from all of you, so we'll hit that up and we'll give our thoughts. Coming up in just a few minutes. I know it might be a little bit hard to think about the golf season coming up here with the the new snow coming up here, but I think also too, Bob, as you know, and a lot of us know, since it's state tournament time, we always get like a little snowstorm or something like that.
Oh
out
yeah,
there,
you
so.
bet. March is good snow weather because it comes and it goes.
Yep. So, but if you're thinking about golf, this is really cool. We had that conversation the other day, but in case you missed it, it is on an episode of the Man Cave podcast. We talked to another doctor, Dr. Logan Shepke, who's a chiropractor, but he also works with some golf pros too. So they got with Shepke Chiropractic. If you visit his website, shepkechiropractic.com, you can see a little bit more. But they got like the pro package, where you get a swing analysis session, a foundation session. You use all that information to kind of figure out your swing mechanics, whether it's, you turn the club over right away, the right way. Well, that's a swing guy. If maybe your hip's not going the right way, Dr. Shepke can help you out with that. So it's a really cool golf package. It might help you out there a little bit, Bob, and maybe getting some little 10 yards on your distance there or something like that. But
well, that'd get me up to 35. Right?
But if that's something that you're interested or want to learn more about, go to shepkechiropractic.com. Or if you're just looking maybe to get a little bit of adjustment, Logan will do that too. Logan, Eau Claire native, played high school soccer at Memorial. So he's an Eau Claire guy, local guy. Got 2 locations, and one in Altoona and then Eau Claire Fitness over there too. So
I was down in my basement yesterday afternoon, and I was looking at my golf clubs, got the putter out, and just kind of swung it a few times, thinking that won't be long. I did play one round of golf already this year.
Oh, did you go in California over there?
No, when I was in Hawaii.
Okay.
I played in the King Kamehameha course on Maui. It's a interesting place. People who have ever been in Maui know that they look up on the hill, the West Maui Mountain, see a big pink building, and it's a golf course, King Kamehameha. It was supposed to be Marilyn Monroe's house, but long story short, it didn't happen, and somebody bought the plans and made it into a golf course. And beautiful place up on the hill overlooking the valley and the crater, Haleakala crater. So it was awful nice, green grass and fun time.
Yeah,
looking forward to golf getting started again.
You're a lucky
I only
man.
played once.
Well, one more than a lot of us, so just saying out there. But you all right, you better get that putter ready when we get that putting competition with Carpet City Flooring Center coming up here.
I heard that earlier.
Yeah, I saw they're starting to build it and such. I'll find out a little bit more. I'm running over there today, but thinking about a 20-footer, man.
Ooh, that'll be good.
And it's gonna be a lot of fun. So big thanks to the crew over there at Carpet City Flooring Center for doing that for us too. So it should be a lot of fun. Tyler with a quick email here this morning. Morning, Dan. Looking back at some of the big name quarterbacks to leave a team after a long and successful tenure, you have mixed results. Joe Montana, lackluster with the Chiefs, but no one holds that against him. Still considered one of the greatest. Brett was an ugly divorce, with both sides to blame. Going to the Vikings put a minor strain on his legacy, but I feel his off-field antics have strained his legacy more than going to the Jets and Vikings after Green Bay. Tom Brady, this was the one case where it made the legacy of Brady even stronger. He went to another team and led them to a Super Bowl. If Rodgers leaves, I do not think it will tarnish his legacy. As you know, I am not a Packers fan, but I see a lot living in this great state. From what I hear and read, people are ready to move on. The way he comes off in the media is a bit smug, and I feel people are tired of that. He will go down as one of the best quarterbacks of all time. Packers fans will continue to love him. In a few years after he retires, there will be a joyous halftime celebration where he comes back to Lambeau. So that's thank you for that email, Tyler. Perspective from somebody who is not.
Yeah, and there are so many quarterbacks, as you mentioned. I'm just really running through my mind real fast. Guys that have left their teams where they had success. Joe Namath left the Jets, went to the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Unitas left the Colts and went out to San Diego, I believe. Peyton Manning. He went to Denver, won a Super Bowl, but not because of him.
Right.
And who did John Hadel? The Packers gave up the kitchen sink and everything in the kitchen to go get John Hadel from San Diego. He came in and was horrible. But there are a lot of those quarterbacks that you try and revive the fire in a different place. And I don't know what's going to happen with the Jets and Aaron Rodgers. He's got the final decision to make. So I don't know what they can offer him that the Packers can't offer. I don't know. They got a better defense than we do, but and whether that will go a long way. I don't know what their wide receiving core is, or their tight end core, their receivers are all about. But,
got some talented.
I don't think it's a done deal yet.
You don't think so?
Nope.
Aaron Jones and Leroy Butler. The reason we kind of asked this because Aaron Jones and Leroy Butler both recently said on the NFL Network that legacy is really important to Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Jones saying you always hear him talk about legacy and tradition. That's something that he's big on, and he talks about it all the time in interviews. It'd be hard for me to see him leave Green Bay. The tradition, the history he has there. He's grown from a young boy to a man and beyond that in Green Bay. It's tough to see him go anywhere else. I just hope I don't even have to see that. That's from Aaron Jones. Leroy Butler, obviously, he's played his entire career with the Packers as a Packers icon. You got to think about a legacy. I think that's what some people in Aaron's circle, as small as it is, his circle should say, your legacy really is with the Packers. So the question we were kind of asking, would his legacy even take a hit? And I'll be honest with you, I don't think it would. I don't think it would.
If Brett Favre's didn't, his sure won't. The way Brett Favre left the Packers and came back, his whole mission was to play for the Vikings and beat the Packers. That was his mindset. Aaron Rodgers doesn't have that mindset.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're different scenarios at this point. Mm-hmm. There was a little bit of revenge and, vendetta against the whole thing.
And explain to me why this scenario has changed. How long ago was it that people were saying they see it in practice, they know if he can play, and Jordan Love can't play? Now they're all saying it's Jordan Love, and who are they? That's what I love. It's their saying. Mm-hmm. Now, who is it? Gutekunst? I haven't heard Gutekunst. I haven't heard LaFleur. I haven't heard any of these guys being credited with any kind of a comment or a quote that says it's Jordan Love's time. He's ready to play. It's always they.
Well, Goody did say that he did say at the combine that Love is ready to play. He said he's ready to play. He just needs to play.
Well, that's because he's been there for 3 or 4 years. Yeah, then you got to play. But is he? Do they say that he's good enough to play?
I know some of the teammates. The big one of them that pops to my mind was Devondre Campbell during the season. He was on one of those like 500 players TV shows that are across the state, during the season. I mean, there's one for every bar, I think, in Green Bay at that point. But Devondre Campbell made the statement that Jordan Love, we see it in practice, is better than half the starting quarterbacks in the NFL. Now, is that a guy just supporting his teammate? Is there some truth to that? We don't know because we don't see it, right? We don't see it. So,
and that's my concern. Mm-hmm. How good is he? Better than half the quarterbacks. So that means you're still maybe the 15th best quarterback in the league. We've got one that's among the top 3, 4, 5 right now. Mm-hmm. So, how much are you willing to sacrifice? And, they're going to do what they're going to do. And does Jordan Love deserve a chance? He probably does. But, is Aaron Rodgers done? There's so many things that they've got to make decisions on, and I don't know what the right decision is going to be. If Jordan Love comes in and they go 8-8, well, they're 8-9. That's what Rodgers did this year, but he had a broken thumb. He probably should have been benched for a month and that's what I think they made their mistake last year.
They went 6-10 his first year as a starter after 13-3.
That's why I think they made a mistake this year. When that thumb, you could see that the thumb was still bothering him because he couldn't put the ball in places he needed to. They should have sat him down for like 3 weeks, let the thumb heal, and put Jordan Love out there and let him play. But they didn't do that. Now, I don't know whether that's because Rodgers would have had a hissy fit and, who knows, left the team. I don't know what might have happened, but I was surprised because you could see it, that his thumb wasn't good. Mm-hmm. And that made him a very underrated quarterback from what you expected out of him. And I think that's where they made the mistake, that they didn't let Jordan Love play 3-4 weeks this past season.
Yeah. And that, it's hard to argue against that. I agree with you. I think the thumb injury, I know there's some fans out there that won't give him the benefit of the doubt with that thumb injury and such, but I mean, I got a football. If I had a thumb injury, you kind of put it right there on that throwing, it affects you.
Absolutely.
It affects you. So that pressure point there.
Yep.
And yes, I know Favre played with a broken thumb in what, 98 or whatever the heck year that was, 01 or something like that. But can make the case, should he have played too? And there's different break. I guarantee if we brought in Dr. Crow again here, could be different breaks in that thumb.
Oh, sure.
Depending on where it was at. I mean, there's other parts to it too. So, but yeah, you could definitely tell. And that's a guy too that's not going to wear a glove. He said that he'll never wear a glove with throwing the football and that sort of thing too. So, but no, I agree with you. I think there was something that was obviously affecting his throw and that thumb on there too. But the whole legacy thing, I kind of chuckle at. I know there's a lot of Packers fans who are upset with him and annoyed with him. Maybe the best word with it. And I know, some people texted in a little bit earlier saying, well, his legacy's already tarnished and all that because of his antics or what he said. Guarantee you, though, if we had a game tomorrow and it was at Lambeau and he gets introduced, it's the loudest cheer.
Everybody's standing, you bet.
It's the loudest cheer out there.
Absolutely.
That's why he's the last one that gets introduced. That's why you can't hear the announcer say his name because everybody's cheering that loud.
Absolutely.
His
legacy is, and Green Bay is a different fan base and many others. I mean, everybody's got rabid fans, but Green Bay is one of these iconic teams. You go to how many cities, I don't care where you go in this country and even foreign countries, there are Packer bars. There aren't going to be Viking bars or Lion bars in a lot of these places, but there's always a Packer bar.
Yeah.
Or 2 or 3 or more.
Why do you think if nobody hasn't seen this before, but like the last few years, there's this, they call it Packers Everywhere through the Packers, but they hold rallies for road games at certain bars because there's that many Packer bars.
Oh, absolutely.
Across the country.
Oh, absolutely.
They can do that. They could do that. So,
well, all you got to do is go to some of these places where, they don't sell their stadiums and all of a sudden the Packers are in town. It's a sellout because they're green.
Yeah. That's why it took forever for Green Bay to go across the pond.
Yeah.
Because nobody wanted to give up a road game.
No, that's right.
A couple of messages here. Big Worm, morning, Dan and the intern. What I would love to see is Aaron stay with Green Bay and retire a Packer. Restructure a few contracts, go out and get DeAndre Hopkins and draft that tight end from Notre Dame. That's a very healthy looking offense with a very good, solid defense. Thoughts? Have a great day, boys.
I agree with him. Right. Every word he said there. They got to get a tight end. They keep talking Bobby Tunyon. When he's healthy, he's not that good. I mean, it's just a fact. They got to get help at tight end. They just don't have a Mercedes Lewis he'll catch 3 or 4 balls a year, but he's a blocking tight end. Robert Tunyon is not a good receiving tight end. He's not fast enough. He's not big enough. And he's just not the answer at tight end. If you're going to put an offense together that's going to have some diversity, where would Kansas City be without Kelce?
Yeah, and that's why I say, I use that comparison with the 2 wide receivers there, how those 2 teams let go of their wide receiver. The caveat to all that, Kansas City still had Travis Kelce.
Absolutely.
They still had Travis Kelce over there. So, I've said it. I know I said it a few times this week. I want the storybook ending. That would be my ideal thing. Aaron stays with one team and retires with Green Bay.
Yeah.
I want that
because he's not going to retire now.
I don't know.
He doesn't want to go into the Hall of Fame with Brady and
JJ Watt.
JJ Watt. Yeah, that's not going to happen. He'll want to have a little bit more of the headline.
Yeah. I know Alan Lazard posted a video on Instagram. It was he was having a little fun. So Aaron was working out, and I'm like, okay, the fact that he's working out, I think he's already getting in the mindset that he's getting ready to play. But he was doing that virtual boxing, so he couldn't even see Lazard. So Lazard was pretending to punch him and kick him and all that sort of stuff. But the fact that Aaron's working out, I don't think he's retiring this year either.
I don't know. What do you think? I should say this for receiver defer. Think there's a better chance that he'll play for the Jets or a better chance that he'll retire?
Go to the Jets or a better chance he would retire? I think there's go to the Jets would be a better chance.
I would think so too. Mm-hmm. I would think so too. But again, he's going to play. It's just where and if he makes this decision, there are just still so many things that I scratch my head over this whole situation.
There's part of me that just wonders the fact that this is going a little bit longer and maybe this is just there's nothing to it, but the fact that there still hasn't been a decision makes me wonder, is it like more likely he actually is going back to Green Bay? Because it's been a few days since.
If I had to bet, my bet would be that he's coming back to Green Bay.
Even with the Jets flying out there.
Even with the Jets flying out there and all this other stuff. I think it's just something that he's, oh, good, now I'm in the headlines again. The Jets are coming out to see
Well, and
me.
he said, too, one time, I think it was on his boys, Pat McAfee show, that, he's never been a free agent. He's never really been recruited, college-wise, like a high-level recruit.
No.
And he said that, he kind of wondered what it would be like. Well, he experienced it now. He was wined and dined and all that sort of stuff. Mark it off your bucket list. That I don't know. It's just like, I would have thought by now, after them flying out, that they would have had a decision. And I think it's all, Aaron at this point still hasn't made a decision, or maybe he's talking to Green Bay. I don't know, but.
Well, if I'm Aaron Rodgers and I've got a contract that I know is worth 59 or 60, whatever, come to the Packers. Well, if I want to go to the Jets, and he's only going to play a couple, 3 more years at the most, I would think. I don't think he's going to go to 45 like Tom Brady did. But I still think he played at a very high level. But if the Jets are going to recruit me and show that much interest, I want something down the road. I want more than just a contract. I want maybe, how about 5% ownership or 10% ownership of the team. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'd be starting at the top and working my way down as far as my demands. Mm-hmm. I don't know how far that's gone, but when the Jets flew every important person in their organization out there, they must want him pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, desperate times call for desperate measures at this point. So they lost out on Derek Carr and they lose out on Aaron Rodgers. They may have to spend the boatload to get Jimmy G. And that's where I think the Jets probably want a decision before free agency coming up here too. It's like,
oh, absolutely,
dude, can we figure this out? So can you imagine the Jets don't come away with any of these quarterbacks? I don't know where they go then.
Yeah, I don't know what they do. They are in tough shape because they've got a good defense.
Mm-hmm.
They really do. And that's what's kept them in games.
Mm-hmm.
But they've got a quarterback situation that, it's just not good.
Mm-hmm. Jake with an email. I don't think it tarnishes his legacy at all, in my opinion. No matter what he does, he'll be looked at as a Green Bay Packer in the end. Like you said earlier this week, all the greats you can think of have tried to go elsewhere. Whether it worked out or not, they went. I don't see him choosing to retire to protect his legacy if the team is moving forward with Love and Rodgers still thinks he can play. I think he can. Would it be cool to see him retire as a Packer? Of course. But at the same time, as a Packers fan, I want to get something for him, if at all possible, before passing the torch to help the team. Riding off into the sunset is only cool if you can go out on top and think, and I think that's what Rodgers wants. And if he doesn't see it happening in Green Bay, then he deserves to look for that opportunity.
And I think this is how everybody blames Rodgers for this. But I think, there are a lot of people in the mix here, because how much improvement did they do? And did you see the mock draft?
I've seen a lot of them.
Well, the Packers stay there, their proposed first-round draft choice is going to be a cornerback. A cornerback. And so over the years, if I'm a quarterback and I need somebody to throw the ball to, and my receiving core has been what it has been, I'm frustrated too, because they've drafted cornerbacks, they've drafted defensive linemen, running backs, and wide receivers have been down the list, so to speak. But again, this year, you're looking at and I don't know what the draft's going to show, but I've seen 2 or 3 of these things. Packers' first-round projected draft choice is a cornerback. Well, my goodness, Gertie, come on. Let's get us some people that are going to help the offense. We need offensive linemen. We need a tight end.
Wouldn't it be ironic if, say, they traded Favre or Rodgers to the Jets for their first pick, and they'd have the 13th and 15th pick, and it went wide receiver, tight end? Finally, after Rodgers gets traded, he gets their first 2 picks for that.
That would be ironic, wouldn't it? But I don't know. I just see. I have no. That's the thing with the trade and the compensation. I have, well, I won't say 0, but very low number of confidence that Gutekunst is going to get it right. You got a first-round draft choice. I don't care if it's number 1 or if it's number 30. First-round draft choice has to play and has to be a difference maker to a certain extent. When's the last time that's happened?
Right away? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, this
not
Wyatt,
even Rashawn Gary first year.
No, this Wyatt, he didn't even get on the field. He can't beat out Dean Lowry. What does that tell you about that? That's not good.
Another texter, I don't think his reputation would be tarnished. Very few greats finish and end with one team. It's still a business. I've spent the last decade and a half watching him work magic on Sundays. He could go to the Bears, and I would still forever be grateful for what he did with Green Bay. Which I'll ask you, Bob. I know we got to take a quick break here, but something I posed a few days ago on socials. If he does go to the Jets, like Favre in 08, if it doesn't affect the Packers, would you still cheer for Rodgers? Would you hope for the best if it doesn't affect the Packers?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You bet. Just like cheering for Marquette. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
But, if they're playing my team, then I don't want them to have success.
Yeah.
And even to the point of the way Brett Favre, he flew in and they didn't even let him go to the camp. They said, no, you're not coming back. You're leaving. And that, that left an awful sour taste in his mouth, even though he brought it on himself.
He did.
By saying, I'm going to retire. I'm not going to play. Well, you can't hold the team up. And Rodgers better be careful because he's kind of doing the same thing right now. But then Favre really got into, my goal is to beat the Packers, come back. And then he got to the Vikings. Vikings had a nice team that didn't have a quarterback.
Yep.
And so we'll wait and see.
Yeah. I know Sauce Gardner, the young corner, the really good corner for the Jets, on his video stream yesterday, and again, I don't know how much he would actually know since he's going into his second year, but he had mentioned that if Rodgers goes to the Jets, it's a quote, it's package deals all over. I can't tell you who, but just know. So I don't know how much a second-year guy would be privy to that information, but now it's got everybody like speculating, oh, who's Aaron going to bring with him and all that. And I kind of joked about it, but now I'm just kind of really wondering. But a few days ago, I was like, would David Bakhtiari be a part of that package? Because the Jets need a left tackle. Goody said at the Combine that they were working on a restructure for Bakhtiari, yet we haven't heard a darn thing about it. So it's like, oh boy, does that mean Bakhtiari's going over there with him too? It's just fun banter back and forth.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it all washes out. And in the end, if Rodgers says, I'm coming back, it's all for naught.
I do agree. I think it was Big Worm who mentioned it. If Rodgers does come back this year, you got to push your chips into the table and make some splash moves.
Oh, absolutely.
You got to. And I know it's going to screw up your cap, but you got to do it. I mean, what else are you going to do? You got to. You might only have it for one more year. You got to do it.
Yes, you do. You've got to get some receivers. I hope Rashawn Gary comes back on the defense. I hope number 7, the linebacker Clay Walker gets his head screwed on straight this year. I hope Wyatt realizes that he's got a lot of potential, but takes a little work to get to the level that you need to be. I just hope there's some strength on that team right now, but it doesn't seem like they've been able to step up to the task of being a real winner. And when you're playing with Aaron Rodgers, you got an opportunity to be a real winner, but you got to produce and you got to work.
Yeah. So, well, I'm just saying, like, if he does go to the Jets, he should really troll it and wear the number 4. Go back.
I don't think the Jets want to see another number 4 because Brett Favre was not a good quarterback for the New York Jets.
Well, and I was looking at the opponents for the Jets this year. They play the AFC West, which is Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, now Sean Payton with Denver. Then they play the
plus their own division,
exactly. But then they also play the NFC East, which is Philly, Mike McCarthy and the Cowboys again. So it's a tough schedule for the Jets this year. And, their division, like you mentioned, Buffalo, we all know about it. Bill Belichick with the Patriots. I know Miami's got some questions, but I think their hire of Vic Fangio for defensive coordinator, that might just become more important if Aaron's in that division now too. So
I wonder if Rodgers looks at something like that.
I do too.
Because it's not like, well, I'm going to go to the Jets. We had a tough schedule this year, but 2, 3, 4 years down the road, we'll be able to build up. You're not going to be there that long.
Because I look at the NFC. I brought this up a couple weeks ago. Is it fair to say the NFC is weaker in terms of quarterback play?
I believe it.
Because you look at all the quarterbacks in the AFC, I feel like it would be easier to advance in the NFC.
Oh, yeah. Because you got Mahomes, you got Burrow, you got what's his
Justin
name?
Herbert from the Chargers.
And you got what's his name out in Buffalo?
Josh Allen.
Yeah, and you got some strong quarterbacks out there.
Depending
and,
where
and
Lamar
I don't know
Jackson
if,
goes.
Is Russell Wilson going to come back, or is he done?
Yep.
So he's got potential to be an awfully good quarterback. We know over the years. But no, I agree with you. There's some, because Kirk Cousins isn't going to be mentioned in the top tier quarterbacks. Neither is Goff for Detroit, and neither is Lawrence down there in Chicago. Is he going to be healthy?
Justin Fields.
Yeah, or Fields. Yeah. And is he going to be healthy? And
the Rams are they're kind of selling off a lot of assets
they're talking
now,
about Stafford getting traded.
I saw one of those rumors there too. And I know the GM downplayed it the other day, but that was out there. But they're selling off everybody else. So, and then do you trust Geno Smith for another year in Seattle, Arizona? Kyler Murray might not be ready.
And Dak Prescott is not an elite quarterback with the Cowboys.
Yeah. So you look at the NFC.
Who's got they got Derek Carr in New Orleans, but
NFC South has nobody else after
that's
that.
That's right. And if he's the best quarterback in your division, you're not among the elites.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jalen Hurts is good. But how many other NFC quarterbacks would you put above Aaron Rodgers right now?
Yeah, I know it. Not many. But Jalen Hurts is a kid that I think he's one injury away from being Carson Wentz.
Yeah. You never know.
He was
banged up.
He was in the running to be most valuable player, got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Foles came in, won the Super Bowl, and Carson Wentz is, I think right now he's back in North Dakota selling used cars or something.
He ain't doing anything right now.
No, that's what I mean. Nope. So you're right. That schedule, I would think, would play on my mind if I'm Aaron Rodgers.
Because at this point, if you're playing, it's all I know. And everybody was running with that quote when he said, I can win MVP. He wasn't talking about that was his main goal. He was talking about that's the level he thinks he can still play at. We all know at this point in time of his career, it's all about championships. That's all he wants.
Yep.
So he's got to look at this. Which team presents the best opportunity for him to win? Is it the Jets or is it the Packers?
Yeah, and I don't know what kind of conversations he's had with Gutekunst as far as the draft is concerned, or what kind of things they've talked about, how they like to strengthen this team. But you're not going to strengthen the offense drafting a cornerback.
Mm-hmm.
I just I don't know. They don't seem to be on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the talking heads draft picks. Whether Gutekunst is actually thinking that way, I don't know. But let's face it, he hasn't been the best drafter since he's been in charge.
That's if he would have went to UW Clarence to UW La Crosse, he might have been a little bit better.
Well, I would think so. I
had to throw that.
And he's
there.
From if he hadn't been from Minnesota, he might be a little better too.
What are you doing with that UW La Crosse degree?
There you go.
Come on, dude. All right. We got to take a quick break here. We'll do some Receiver Defer Friday edition coming up in the next hour. We'll hit that up after these words. All right, we only got like 30 seconds until the top of the hour here, so we've got a few more messages to get to. I will get to those coming up just past the 8 o'clock hour. A lot of people got some thoughts on this whole Rodgers thing, which is no big surprise at this point. So
big news for us.
Yep. So
I just hope whatever he does is not what Schefter says.
So I mean, there's just, and honestly, I mean, just kind of going through some of these texts, it seems like some people will just, they won't be a Rodgers fan for whatever reason, no matter what happens. So it is what it is. But we'll go through some of that coming up here in just a few minutes. So flying on by on this Friday morning. We'll do some news updates, and then we'll get back to some of your messages. Otherwise, you can hit us up if you haven't, 715-830-1912 with a quick text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. We'll be back after these quick words. All right, final hour kicking off on this Friday morning of March 10th. Appreciate y'all tuning in, however and wherever you may be tuning in from.
Yeah, if you're in the car heading to Green Bay from Blair Taylor, I think most Chippewa Falls fans are probably there now.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck, drive safe, and let's bring home some gold balls.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Best of luck. McDonald be tipping off about an hour from now. So, again, you can follow Brandon on Twitter. He'll have all the updates over there, or watch it on TV if you'd like to do that too. So, but area well represented. Boys are probably going to be well represented too. McDonald's one win away from boys team going to state too.
Mm-hmm.
So we shall see. We shall see. We got quite a few messages to catch up on here. I missed this one a little bit earlier. This is from a good friend Richie, talking about NCAA. I think the champ is coming from the Big East. If I have to pick one, I'll go UConn. Also for intern, the Iditarod is halfway over.
Oh, good.
So I did see that pop up somewhere. I think it was on Twitter or something like that. So
I haven't seen the Iditarod news, so appreciate knowing that. Every time I think about that, Richie updates us. Say, if you've ever been up there and you've seen that landscape up there, it's barren.
Mm-hmm.
It is barren. I mean, it's not like taking your snowmobile from here to Hayward. It's a different world up there, man.
We got this is from Mark. I've been thinking about your email this morning and not sure I know the answer. Does his legacy get harmed if he leaves the pack? I personally hope we don't find out. Another texter, I saw a report that there is a trade package in place and Rogers just has to agree to it. Is that where we're at? I mean, I don't know if you're referring to what Diana Rossini said yesterday. I mean, she had said that the Packers and Jets remain engaged in conversations about a compensation and contract, but I haven't seen anything about, a report saying that they've got an agreement in place. And I think initially they're just kind of waiting on, okay, Aaron's got to decide if he's going to play or not, and will he accept a trade to the Jets is pretty much where we're at this point. Or does he want to go to Green Bay? The ball is literally in Rogers' court at this point. And
that's why I don't know how, compensation packages, what they have talked about or what the deal is, because Rogers is the key.
Mm-hmm. He wants money, $60 million. If he wanted championships, he would be more team friendly, put in the work in the off season.
Kind of after the fact, you put in the work before, like they always say, I want to make sure I get this quote right. You get in shape to play the game. You don't play the game to get in shape. And that sounds kind of like what he's doing. If I win a championship, then I'll really work hard. Well, you work hard before so you can win the championship. It's not the other way around.
I think, again, we got the $60 million. I don't care how much money he makes. The only thing that we should pay attention to is the cap hits. That's the only thing that really matters. You get $60 million in cash. Good for him. But in terms of cap hits for this year, I mean, if we're going to use that argument a little bit, then we can say the same about Patrick Mahomes, who's got the second highest cap hit. He should do more to help out his team. Dak Prescott, Josh Allen, Kirk Cousins. Hell, even Tom Brady's got a $35 million cap hit that's a voided year. So those are all quarterbacks that have a higher cap hit.
And how many of them are more valuable than Aaron Rodgers?
Even in 2024, if we look at the 2024 cap hits, Deshaun, Dak, Kyler, Matthew Stafford, Daniel Jones, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. Would you rather have right now Daniel Jones or Aaron Rodgers for the next 2 years?
I think I'll take Aaron Rodgers.
He does have the highest cap hit when it comes to 2025 there. It's not a team-friendly deal by any means if they wanted to move on from him because of all the dead cap then that would come into place. This is why I've said for like the last week plus, something changed within this past year when he signed that deal last year, because it's not a team-friendly deal in terms if they wanted to move on from him. Packers showed that commitment to him. He talked about it in training camp that he was going to retire as a Packer. Something happened to where we're at now a year later, where the Packers are willing to get out of that deal, if we believe all these accounts.
Well, that's what's always struck me of why all of a sudden are the Packers ready to trade Aaron Rodgers or move on from Aaron Rodgers. Like I said earlier, how many times do we see, well, they know in practice. They can tell in practice. And it was always Love isn't ready, and Love can't play in this league. And now all of a sudden, Love can play. So I don't know what he's done differently or who's looking at him now. But and again, who are they? I never heard anybody outside of you mentioned at the combine. Gutekunst did say that, but I haven't heard LaFleur say anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a company man, and you know what he's going to say if he does say anything.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I always wonder who they are.
I always I kind of chuckled the other day. You know, the three of the four teams that were really rumored into, I guess we could say all four teams that have always kind of been attached with Aaron Rodgers the last couple of years have all been like buddies of Matt LaFleur. And you're like, Matt LaFleur's got to be like, guys, what are you doing? You know, Sean McVay at one point before they got Stafford, the whole Kyle Shanahan, the 49ers, Nathaniel Hackett and the Broncos last year. Now, Robert Saleh, who Matt LaFleur was his best man at his wedding. He's like,
Yep.
guys, what are you doing to me right now?
Yep.
Sort of thing. So, but let's
you know, and Matt LaFleur, I wonder if he sits at his desk and thinks, if I lose Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love is my quarterback.
mm-hmm.
How long am I going to have this job? You know, because you know, you got to win in that league.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the coaches, general managers don't get released as often as the coaches.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, and I don't know which one would go first, Gutekunst or Matt LaFleur.
I don't know. John texting saying that can we give Brooke Lopez a defensive player of the year? Guy's been insane this year. We were talking about him at length in the first hour, giving him his due. 9 blocks last night, almost a triple-double because of those 9 blocks. There's only 16 games left in a regular season.
Oh, that's going fast. And Rudy Gobert, who's now with the Timberwolves, he hasn't got much traction as far as any kind of headlines for being a great defensive player this year. So I don't know who would be above Brooke Lopez.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's getting your media department
to
get all these things out. That's, you know, the colleges, when they've got a Heisman candidate, they, you know, the universities, boy, they crank up their media department to send out all kinds of videos and news releases and everything else to keep their names in the front of the people that vote.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But we were talking about Brooke Lopez in the first hour, you know, kind of talking about, I think he's one of the most, or this season, kind of flown under the radar, just how good he has been setting, well, some Bucks career highs in terms of points per game, rebounds, blocks, 3-point shooting, and he's been a consistent presence in there. Played 65 of the 66 games, I think we said, in that first hour.
Yep.
For all the injuries and nicks and knacks from all these players. And this was a guy who had back surgery last year, and you always get nervous, and he's an older guy.
You think somebody like that would need load management.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But not
Brooke Lopez. He's out there, and he's getting the job done, too. So I'm glad we didn't trade him when we were talking about that a couple of years ago.
Yeah, they were talking about can they afford to keep him, and I think it was a good decision they made, obviously.
Mm-hmm. So, I'm glad he's on my team right now.
Oh, yeah. I think the Bucks have a really nice unit.
2.5 games above Boston right now. And I feel like if there was a year that was going to be important to have the 1 seed, it's this year. Just to have that home court throughout, because I really believe it's going to be Boston and Milwaukee in the Eastern Conference Finals. And I think if you get that 1 seed, not only will you have home court throughout, where the Bucks have been awesome this year, you avoid a potential 2-3 matchup, which would probably be Philadelphia in the semis. You know, then you're probably going to play either Cleveland or Brooklyn or New York, and if you get through the first round. Yeah, that's why I feel like the 1 seed this year is really important in the East.
I agree with you. I think so too, because it's 1, 2, 3, and then teams that are good but not that good that they should, you know, cause you undue stress to take them out.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, I know Donovan Mitchell obviously is a big-time scorer for the Cavs and that, but Philly would worry me more than Cleveland.
Oh, absolutely.
Facing them in the postseason.
Absolutely.
And let Philly and Boston maybe kind of beat up on each other in the Eastern semis at that point. So I think right now Milwaukee's the best team in the league. If we were to do our own power rankings, I think they're number 1.
I think they are too, because obviously what happened in Phoenix with Kevin Durant now, he's out with that bad ankle
for at least a couple weeks or saying. So.
And so then you've got Denver with the Joker, and they're very good, but I still think the Bucks have more of a team. Giannis and Joker are, they're number one players, but then you look at player for player on their rosters, and I think the Bucks can match up better going down 8, 9 deep, maybe deeper than that, maybe 10.
Yeah, I totally agree. And you know who's now the second seed in the Western Conference, Bob?
Who is it?
Sacramento Kings.
Oh, yes, I did hear that. I thought did I hear that right?
Yeah.
Good for them.
Yep. They're
Good.
Tied with Memphis, but they got the advantage, I'm assuming, because of tiebreakers, because they got the exact same records and such. And we know what's going on with Memphis and John Morant right now. But
yeah, that's unfortunate that these guys get caught up in some of these compromising positions.
Yeah, especially a guy like John Morant, who's like one of the faces of this league, or should be.
Oh, yeah.
And that was my grind my gears on Tuesday for that, or it might have been my dud from Studs and Duds. But yeah, you look at the West and it's like, what the heck just happened with the Kings? And that's where you look at this West Coast trip coming up for the Bucks. Golden State Saturday, playoff team. Sacramento on Monday. Phoenix on Tuesday, but no KD for that game. It'll still be a tough game. They got Booker and all that, but still.
Oh yeah, it's always going to be a tough. I mean, the league is pretty good. I mean, there are a few stragglers in the league, but I mean, you take a look at some of the top, more than half of the league. They're good. They really are. They're good.
Yep. Yeah, I agree, and I can't wait for the postseason to start. I got this feeling with this Bucks team that it's going to be another special season.
Yeah, they're going well right now, and again, I don't know how much credit Budenholzer is going to get as far as being coach of the year. I would assume the guy that stepped in at Boston after that coaching fiasco they had, he's going to get more headlines. He's in a bigger market. I don't know how much Sacramento. Mike Brown is going to get an awful lot of cred.
And he should.
Yeah, he should.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. No, I'm not denying that at all. But Budenholzer is just quietly under the radar. Even when you watch the games, very seldom do you see pictures of Budenholzer. But the other coaches, I'm not talking about the Bucks network, but nationally, when they're on national, they don't show Budenholzer that much as a coach on the side, but they always show these other coaches standing there, walking around, and everything else. He's kind of under the radar too, like Brook Lopez for Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, which again, I know somebody had mentioned earlier this week again about the national coverage, but I'm okay with it because I said it a few times: more national coverage, more manufactured drama at some point. So we'll talk about it. We're talking about him. We notice it. That's all I care about. So.
Yeah, and that's another thing that Aaron Rodgers, of course, at this point in his career, he doesn't care, I don't think, whole bunch. But you can bet if he goes to New York, it's not just his football, but, his relationships have been kind of questionable. The ladies he's dated, and, they're not just going to say so-and-so makes her own soap out of dirt or whatever it is.
Yeah. Clay or whatever it is.
They're going to go in depth about her life and her lifestyle. And, it's
well, they're a good thing they're not together anymore.
Well,
so
I know they're not together, but I mean,
still,
he's had some, even this Olivia Munt is kind of a.
Well, I don't know if he's still dating the Bucks owner's daughter. That was the latest one. So
was it? Okay. Well.
Ooh. Because they're from New York.
Yeah.
So now you're like, oh boy.
Oh yeah. Well,
he's got somewhere to live.
Yeah, he can't afford to live in New York, but
he can crash on their couch.
But the media pressure is a whole lot different in New York.
Oh yeah.
Than it is in Green Bay.
Yeah, you can't be annoyed by the media. You got to know what you're expecting when you get in there.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, and you look at how many people have gone to New York and they couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Randy Johnson. Remember when he went out there, the pitcher?
For the Yankees over there? Yep.
He couldn't wait to get out of there. And there are others that have been chased out by the media as well.
Yep.
Undeservedly so in a lot of cases.
Well, and let's face it, too. I mean, he's going to be front, back page of every New York paper, no matter what he does.
Oh, absolutely. The Jets have the headlines. They'll take it away from the Giants.
100%.
Yeah. Daniel Jones.
I was going to say Daniel Jones might really want Aaron Rodgers to be a Jet because he's got that huge contract, and people are like, "Why are you giving him that much money?" He's probably like, "Hey, Aaron, come over here.
Yeah.
Take away some of the headlines from me."
Oh yeah, the scrutiny won't be quite as much.
Yeah.
But it's a lot different world in New York than it is in Green Bay.
Oh yeah.
That's for sure.
That's where I'm
in a lot of ways.
It's just, and then there's a bunch of other stuff I'm not going to get into that from some of Aaron's personal stuff.
Oh, absolutely. That his family, that's, he's estranged from his family for whatever reason. We've heard it reported, but we haven't seen anything in depth. You go to New York, it'll be in depth. Because they're always looking for something to cover.
Well, okay.
They'll find his brothers. They'll find his family. What seems to be the problem, and how is this going on? And it's just going to be a lot different if he goes to New York.
And I'm not going to open this up for a political debate, but I'm just going to say this because since we're talking about the media coverage, it is going to be brought up. We know Aaron's stance on COVID. The owner of the Jets, Johnson & Johnson, vaccines. That's going to be brought up with Aaron if he goes over there. I don't want to bring it. I'm just, I'm not going to get into that discussion. But if Aaron is all about the media and hates all that attention, he's going to know what he's going to get into over there.
Yeah, that's
so he can't complain about it.
No, there are so many different angles that I'd never even thought about being covered by the Green Bay or the Wisconsin or the Midwest media, that the New York media is already, I'm sure they're having meetings already. Okay, Aaron Rodgers comes here. You got his family angle. You got the COVID angle. You got whatever, his dating angle. There are going to be a lot of things written about Aaron Rodgers that have nothing to do with football.
Yep. Yeah.
And he's got to be ready for it. I'm sure he is.
I bet you there's no darkness retreats like in Oregon, like he went to up there in New York. So.
Oh, but there's a lot of darkness in New York, but I don't know if he can find it for 4 days. But, it's going to be interesting to follow this. I would expect, like you said, free agents come and they want an answer.
Oh, and the teams want the answer.
Yeah, both teams.
Yep.
Were you surprised that the Jets are the only team that really showed any real interest?
Because everybody figured Raiders would be one.
Yep.
And I don't know if they secretly are or not, but they've kind of said that they're, which is interesting because to me, and maybe they thought it was going to go different last year, but to make a move for Devontae like they did last year and give him that huge contract, and now you don't even have a quarterback. To me, it's like, wow, that's what exactly is the plan? What are you trying to do if you're the Raiders when you make that type of move?
Well, that's why the Raiders have been a non-factor for so many years, and so many teams are like that, and that's why you want to see if they trade Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love better not be a swing and a miss.
Yep. Then that puts a lot of pressure on Love too, which I'm sure he knows about. That's where I was kind of like, when we were looking at some of these teams, first of all, I don't think we'll see Packers and Jets for preseason if this does happen for the third or fourth straight year in a row.
No,
I don't think the Jets will come over and have, camps together like they've done for a couple of times. I think that's going to be out the window. But, Packers do play the Raiders this year, which always struck me as like, oh boy, if that were to happen, what game number one's going to be. And everybody's going to put it Jordan Love versus Aaron Rodgers when it shouldn't be Jordan Love versus Aaron Rodgers, but that would be the narrative going into that.
Sure.
So, but
absolutely.
Yeah, I think we can, if you're a preseason fan like myself and I'm the only one out there, I think we can probably count on, if this does happen, there will be no Jets and Packers preseason.
No, I don't think so either. And if the Raiders were really interested, even thinking about it, these guys, whether it be Schefter or Rossini or any of those NFL, live their life every day on the phone talking to these people or tweeting them and texting them back and forth. But I haven't heard any scuttlebutt at all about the Raiders. Have you?
Not really. I think everybody just assumed it was a natural attachment. So I did listen to Mike Tannenbaum, who was the Jets general manager when they traded for Favre. He was on DP's show yesterday or the other day. And it was interesting to hear how he sold the Jets to Favre. Because that's what it all is right now, is a sales pitch, telling Aaron why he needs to come to New York and what's great about New York and all that. And one of them, and he said, obviously it's different with Favre and Rodgers. Favre wanted to hunt and fish. So Tannenbaum said that they told him, if you show up to our facility on Tuesday and you're not in the woods, you're fined. and they found a farm for him that he could go hunt and do all that stuff. And it's like, that's the stuff you don't know until after the fact, what they actually talk about. So it's like, what would they offer Aaron over there.
Because he's not a hunter.
No.
I don't know what his outside football activities are. You think about
Darkness retreats.
Yeah, well, that's 4 days.
Whale watching.
I don't know, but I know he likes to play golf, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, what else takes up his time?
Reading. A lot of reading. I don't know if there's anything.
Well,
he's a big history guy. So
there's nothing wrong with that. But I mean, he doesn't have a lot of extracurricular activities like hunting or fishing or
he always said
flying an airplane or doing anything like that.
He always said he wanted to host Saturday Night Live. So I mean, that would be an easy opportunity. I don't think he'd do that now, but he always said he wanted to. Well, that's in New York, so
yeah, it is.
They probably could guarantee him a spot on there. I'm sure they probably could.
Absolutely.
If he really wanted to still do that. So I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
What would you offer Aaron? That would be kind of a fun thing.
Yeah, exactly. Over and above money, you mean?
Yeah, like, okay, they gave Favre a ranch, a farm to go hunt on. They secured that for him. I don't know if he actually used it or not, but
I'm sure they'll give him obviously membership to any golf course in New York, and obviously they've got a lot of fancy private golf courses around New York, and that would be one, I would assume. Other than that, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what Tannenbaum said. Like, the one thing he would do if he was in those, have a notepad and like take notes. What are things you want to do? Like, what's something that's on your bucket list? You want to go to the stock exchange? We can set that up. You want to ring the bell at that thing? We'll set that up.
Oh yeah,
stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and maybe he just wanted to experience that, and he'll be back in Green Bay.
I don't know. I mean, I always thought last 2 or 3 years he's not going anywhere. Now I'm not so sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not so sure.
Yeah. All right. I don't know. It's just the longer this goes and still nothing, I feel like is that direction turning where he actually is. I thought earlier this week it was like, okay, he's gone.
I did too. I thought it would be announced by now that he was gone. And I don't know if, you can speculate all you want. I don't know if it means he's getting, by the Packers allowing him to talk to the Jets and the Jets allowed to talk to him, whether that means Gutekunst and LaFleur, we don't need your input anymore, because he's had input the last year or so, although I don't know how successful it was because he didn't get a whole lot to help the offensive side of the ball. But maybe they're saying, no, you're a player. We're going to run the team. You play football. If you want to play football, here's your contract. And, maybe we can discuss, drafting some help for the offense. But I don't know if the Packers themselves are getting filled up with Aaron Rodgers and all his demands and all the theatrics. I don't know. We'll find out. I think in the next 2, like you said, maybe a Friday news dump.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing too is like, the whole workouts sort of thing. If Aaron says he doesn't want to do the offseason workouts or like show up, is he still going to do that to the Jets? I mean, he talks about trust all the time and developing that. He didn't do it in Green Bay this last year.
No.
Is he going to do that with the Jets?
Yeah, and where was he? What was he doing? I don't know. Was he off playing golf someplace? Man, you can play golf all over around Green Bay. Go to training camp and then go to Sheboygan.
Thornberry is over there.
Play some of the,
Green Bay Country Club. He's got a membership there.
Yeah, but I mean, you can go to, where they play all the tournaments there at Kohler. You can play
Whistling
there.
Straits, yeah.
Whistling Straits and the Bowl, and there are all kinds of great golf courses there. But I don't know what he wants.
Darn whale in Lake Michigan, since he's all about whale watching right now. Go watch the sturgeon.
Well, there's something to see. I'll tell you, watching the whales, there's something to see.
Go watch some big sturgeon by a river dam or something like that. Right. That's probably the closest thing we've got to whale watching, is sturgeon jumping up.
I think so.
By a river dam.
Go that by the Chippewa River.
Yeah, by the power company.
Yeah, a lot of sturgeon out there by Jim Falls on the river.
Yep, that's the Wisconsin edition of whale watching.
At least we got something.
Yeah. Yep. All right, we got to take a break. We'll throw a little baseball talk in here to cover all the bases there too. So we'll be back after these words. All right, don't forget, after Selection Sunday, head to our website and sign up for our bracket challenge. We got prizes we're going to be giving away from our good friends over there at High AV. Free to sign up. You can pre-register right now if you want, so you don't forget. But Selection Sunday coming up Sunday early evening, and then all the bracket madness all over the place. So should be a lot of fun. Going to be really interesting to see how that all plays out. A couple of texts to get to here. I don't remember this. Maybe you do, Bob, but I was a little bit younger at that time. Remember when Jimmy Leonard went to the Jets and the New York media came to Flambeau to dig in about him? What will they do with Rodgers? I don't know. I don't remember that, but maybe you do a little bit there. So, so
I wonder what they thought when they got to Flambeau. What are we going to dig up here?
Somebody sent me an article. Jets and Packers have agreed to compensation for Aaron Rodgers trade. So this blog says that Tom Pelissero reported that the two sides have worked through compensation for trade. Well, I mean, this is okay. So this is what Tom actually said. I think this is kind of a little bit of one of those headline things and what Tom actually said. So this is what Tom Pelissero actually said. So he said the Jets know in their mind what they're willing to offer, what they're willing to do with the contract. The Packers are open for those. I didn't hear anything in there where he said both sides already have agreed to compensation. So Jets probably have it in their minds. Yeah, we know what we're willing to do, what we're going to do. Packers obviously are open to that, but he didn't say anything in there about they have an agreement.
And when you look at these deals, I wrote down the receiver defer. If Rodgers goes to the Jets, Packer fans will be surprised by how little compensation the Packers will get for him.
Receive.
Yeah, I think people are like, oh, we're going to get all these number one drafts and players. Oh, not so fast, my friend.
I completely agree with you. I want the bank if it happens, but I think there's multiple factors in this. One team interested.
Yep.
Is that they're going to have to pay him some money. So like Andrew Brandt said, the more that the Packers are willing to give them money, the higher the draft pick. So how much is Green Bay willing to kind of give the Jets some money towards Aaron Rodgers' contract? Well, if they're not willing to give a lot, that affects draft pick compensation.
Absolutely. So I don't think just because you got a superstar on the trading block that you're going to get a windfall. I think Packer fans are going to be surprised how little compensation the Packers will get for a guy the quality of Aaron Rodgers.
I'm going to receive that too, and it's not going to be like what Seattle got for Russell Wilson last year. Ain't going to be anything like that.
No, I don't think so either. I don't think so, and it probably should be.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of quarterbacks, receiver defer. This we were talking about quarterbacks earlier. That this will be Kirk Cousins last year with the Vikings if they don't win the Super Bowl.
Receive it.
Yeah, I because they let go of
Lance Kendricks. Well, did you hear? Did you hear now who? For all of the praises he was singing about the organization, how much he loves it, but now he wants the team to release him.
Who?
Zadarius Smith wants out
of Minnesota.
Out of Minnesota.
Oh, last year he was
all about Minnesota,
from
right?
the highest mountain, he was singing their praises.
Yep, Pro Bowl. I mean, he's dancing with Kirk Cousins in the plane with the chain, and he put out a tweet yesterday thanking the organization, which is like, okay, Minnesota's releasing him, but then they said, no, Minnesota has no plans releasing him. It's Zadarius who requested to be released. Weird.
Yeah. I don't know what. So it's not just the Packers and Aaron Rodgers frustrated with the management. Vikings obviously aren't the best team to play for. I mean, it's labor management disputes. Let's face it, and it's happening all over. Derek Carr, he left the Raiders in less than in good taste. It's happening all over. It's just the nature of when you're dealing with that much money. The return on investment has to be better than, like the Vikings, their return on investment with Kirk Cousins has been zero. I mean, he got to the playoffs, but then they're done right away. So I think this too is his last year if they don't win the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any more receiver defers on there?
Yeah, I do.
Bring them on, baby.
All right, receiver defer. We're into high school basketball tournament time, and I've talked about this before. Receiver defer, and I know there are a lot of extenuating circumstances about expenses and this, that, and the other thing, but receiver defer, the WIAA should go back to 8 Division I teams in the state high school basketball tournament.
Should go back to Division 8 Division
I team. They don't play Thursday morning anymore. They always
Right.
used to play on Thursday morning. That's the extra 2 games that it would be. Now, why, as far as the Kohl Center cost, you got it for the whole day anyway, day and night on Thursday. Why they don't play 8 Division I teams, I don't know. But I think it's watered down that tournament a lot, not having 8 Division I teams, because you look at how many players from Wisconsin go to other colleges. We never see them in the state tournament because there's only 4 teams there. So I just think we should go back to I'm going to receive that that I want the WIAA to go back to 8 teams in the Division I boys and girls basketball tournament.
I'm all about giving the kids more exposure. It's a long winter sports season, especially for basketball. If you can give them a little bit more exposure and reward, I'm all about with the preps giving them a little bit more love. So, yeah, I wouldn't argue with it if it happened. No.
Yeah, and I don't, like I said, I don't know what the extenuating circumstances are. I know they added that one division because some of the smaller schools really are controlling the WIAA board now, and so they got the smaller schools in there. I don't know whether it's Division 5 or Division 6, but at that level, the competition and the talent isn't as good as it is in Division I. Mm-hmm. And I don't think we're showcasing Wisconsin high school basketball. I'm not against having those kids in the tournament. I'm just saying that with not playing a Thursday round, it's 2 rounds of games, that's your extra 4 teams in Division I. I just think we need to show off more of Wisconsin's high school basketball talent, because let's face it, the bulk of the players are coming from Division I schools that go to colleges on scholarship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you got any more before I ask you one question?
No.
So on Fridays, what we do a little thing called cream of the crop. Okay.
Well, that's why you brought me in here on Friday?
Yeah. Do you know what cream of the crop is?
No idea.
We pick something in the sports world like, okay, that was best of the week sort of thing.
Okay, yeah.
So I got one, but we do a little Macho Man Randy Savage. So I want to, because then we got the Carpet City Flooring Center local spotlight. Brandon helps us out with that. Brandon picked Colfax girls basketball, upsetting Neillsville to go in. Neillsville's freaking good team. And
they were. That was an upset.
Yep. So our Carpet City Flooring Center, I forgot to mention a little bit earlier, but our local spotlight there is the Colfax girls basketball. All the teams, we could say, headed down to state too.
Yeah, Blair Taylor, Chippewa Falls, McDonald.
Mm-hmm. But my cream of the crop, keeping it local-ish too. You hear about former Chippewa Falls native Thomas Longbella?
No.
So he's a really good golfer. Had a really great golfing career. He's qualified to make his PGA Tour debut at the Corrales in the Dominican Republic.
Good for him.
How about that? He secured his first start in pro golf's top league by winning a tournament qualifier on Monday at the Wellington National Golf Club in West Palm Beach, Florida. 6 under 66 in the one-day event. So that's pretty awesome.
It is, and I must admit, I am not, and I watch kind of the golf. I must admit, I'm not familiar with that young man.
Yeah, he wrapped up his college career in 2021 for Minnesota, played for the Gophers over there. So Brandon's got a great article up at Chippewa.com if you want to check it out. Chippewa Herald.
Start following him.
Yeah, Brandon was able to catch up with him, but he's golfed in qualifiers for the Korn Ferry and PGA Tour events, with Monday marking his first time. He secured a start. That's pretty darn cool.
Good. Sometimes
now, can he come back for the Casper Classic and be on my team? I'm just saying, throw that out there.
Wouldn't be a bad guy to have on your squad.
Yep. So, but that's my cream of the crop, because you're a golf fan, I'm a golf fan.
Anybody that plays golf knows how hard the game is.
Yep, and to get in there for your to qualify for your PGA Tour start, that's quite the accomplishment.
You bet. Well, I'll be rooting for him, and boy, would it be nice to get him on the PGA Tour and have somebody like that we could follow.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, but that was really cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really neat. What's his name again?
Thomas Longbella.
Longbella. I'm not familiar with that name in Chippewa Falls at all.
I believe Brandon said like his dad's a doctor. So
okay.
Yep, Thomas Longbella. But great article. If Brandon was able to catch up and talk with him, if you want to check it out at Chippewa Herald or Chippewa.com over there. But we've had some great prep golfers the last few years in the Chippewa Valley.
We'll have to see how he does and maybe get him on the program.
I was going to say Brandon's.
What's his name? The relief pitcher. JP and some of those guys.
We had Mr. Vavra. Over there too.
Yeah.
So
you got to get those guys on. And get a little local perspective.
I'm trying to get Dale to hey, get your nephew Dalton over here for a little quick chat.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on, Dale.
Well, he's not coming to come now. He's in spring training.
But he can give us a quick call or something like that.
Yeah, it would be nice.
Should check the Brewer schedule. They don't play they play the AL East, I think, this year.
Do they? I'm not sure.
Because I know they play the Red Sox.
Yeah. Who's he with now?
Toronto.
That's right.
Wonder. Let me bring up the full on schedule here.
Toronto's got the only field with I think they got that hotel attached to it, and it's quite a field up there. So hopefully he'll do well in Toronto.
And
everybody thinks, he's way up in Canada. Toronto's farther south than we are.
They do. So Brewers go to Toronto. It looks like Memorial Day weekend.
Okay.
Or at least the end of May.
Well, usually there's home and home, isn't there, or not?
Not sometimes. I'm assuming because of the interleague one, maybe not.
Well, maybe not. That's true.
But darn, I was hoping that one would be
in
Milwaukee.
It's great to see the local kids do well.
Yeah, and like MLB.com, I kid you not, like all off season, if you were to look up some of these like top hitters, young hitters poised to have breakout seasons, Dalton was on all those lists. There's a lot of talk and expectations and chatting with Dalton. I had Dale on a couple weeks ago, and he even mentioned too, he's like, the pitch clock's going to help out a guy like Dalton, getting in that box and getting in there and ready to go. So I'm excited. I'm excited.
And that's, you played, I played, and I never wanted to have a lot of time between step out and this and the other thing. Throw the guy the ball back and have him throw it back again. If I'm in the batter's box, I don't want to spend a lot of time in it. I would want to, if you throw me a strike, I'm going to try and hit it. If you throw it out of the strike zone, I'm going to take it, and let's get on with the game. I don't need to step out and take all this time. The faster I can get through the batters, into the batter's box and do my thing, whatever it might be, the better I felt, more comfortable I felt.
Yeah, because I feel like then too, the more you, at least it was for me, and I get, everybody's got like their routines and that, but for me it was like the more I thought, the worse I was.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, especially like on golf.
Well, the thing is, and especially now with Major League Baseball, what do the guys do when after a bat, they go into the dugout, and what do? They get out the tablet and they're looking at what happened. They know these pitchers. They know, they know what kind of pitches he throws. They know his motion. They know where the ball comes from. Does it come from behind his ear? Does it come below his shoulder? They know all this stuff. So it's not like you're going to learn anything when you get in the batter's box. You already know it by the time you get in the batter's box in Major League Baseball now because of all the technology and the way they do things. So it shouldn't take a lot of time. And I just, the same thing. The pitchers know the hitters' weaknesses and strengths and this, that, and the other thing. So we know all that stuff. Let's go get it done.
Yeah. It's going to be, I'm excited to see all this.
I want to see the first game because, I'm sure you talked about the game in
with Atlanta and that
spring training when the guy got called out.
Yeah, the Atlanta one. Yep.
I'm waiting for that to happen during a game.
Well, that's why somebody said then somebody threw out, I don't know where I saw this, but I saw it somewhere. Do you take away the pitch clock in the ninth inning?
No.
To avoid situations like that. And I'm like,
no, I wouldn't do that. So. Everybody knows what the rules are. So follow the rules. And if you can't can't get back in the batter's box and this guy throws a pitch and, you got 8 seconds or whatever it is to get your equipment readjusted, your gloves or whatever it is, get back in the batter's box. If he throws you the pitch and you're not ready, that's your problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, we got to take our final break, and then we'll cover some of the bases over there and recap everything and get ready for the weekend. And then next week starts off a crazy stretch of a lot of sports happening. Hey, Brandon checked in. He finally just got to Green Bay a little bit ago. It was a long drive. Roads were a little slippery.
I was going to say, take your time.
Speaking of a little baseball, you're going to be able to hear the Brewers today, 2 o'clock, little spring training action on your radio dials. Reminder, with all the games like Brewers and Bucks, because we're not allowed to, you can't stream it on the computer or anything. You got to listen to the radio dials. Not our rules. It's Major League Baseball and the National Basketball Association.
Protecting the product, the dollars.
Yep. So don't yell at us. It's not up to us, man.
Yeah.
So, but you'll be able to check that out at 2 p.m. today. Get a little spring training, little baseball field. That's where Justice is at with holiday vacations, I think, doing a spring training.
Yeah, they always take a spring training trip down there with a bunch of folks from around the area, and they get a good crew down there.
Yep. So I think he just got there a couple days ago. He was checking out some of the games yesterday. So just coming through here, really quick, our good friend Mark saying that Dalton Roach threw a scoreless inning for the Cardinals a couple days ago as well against the Yankees. So how about that?
Yeah.
Hey, Adam Thielen's getting released by the Vikings, it looks like.
Really?
Yep.
What, money deal?
Yes. Looks like Kevin Seifert saying, I'm told the Vikings will release Adam Thielen this morning, marking the end of an era for a Minnesota icon. Thielen had a $19.97 million cap hit for this year, and given the thin wide receiver free agent market, had no incentive to take a big pay cut or reduced role.
Don't blame him a bit.
Nope.
Did you notice last year the Vikings, and I didn't watch them a lot, but I did watch them against the Packers and other games, and they were on, the Packers weren't on, this and that. But he was not a target at all last year. I mean, every game I watched, it was Jefferson, and it was not Adam Thielen. And I would imagine Thielen, while the Vikings are his hometown team, obviously his special place in his heart for that team, but I would imagine he's looking forward to moving on, where he can get some action.
I think the last time we talked to JP too, JP was either neighbors with him or lived right over by Adam Thielen. He said Thielen's a really good golfer too. So
no, I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it.
So we'll see where he lands.
I wouldn't mind if the Packers got him. Maybe. Good possession receiver. Because he's better than Randall Cobb.
Yeah, and Randall Cobb's a free agent. He might be going to the Jets too. Who knows? Bring everybody with you, Aaron, if you go over there, right? Just bring all your old buddies over there. So,
but Adam Thielen, if you got love playing quarterback, a good possession receiver that runs good routes and sure-handed.
And I think that's the key.
Thielen has been very good in his career.
I think that's the key. If Jordan Love is the starter, you got to get possession type receiver, those safety valves, because I wouldn't expect Jordan Love to be like taking some shots right away, trying to thread the needle as much. That's where part of me is like, I kind of want that bite of the apple, little Adam and Eve thing. I'm curious to see if we'll actually see a true on LaFleur offense if Love is the quarterback, like that 49er style offense. And that's where I think, the possession, scheming more guys open, and that's what has me a little bit intrigued.
And that's why I was surprised last year with Rodgers' thumb. I mean, everybody knew he had a bad thumb, and they really didn't adjust. It didn't look like it anyway. Maybe somebody looks at the film closer than I didn't see them really adjust their offense at all to go to more possession-type catches, because I think Randall Cobb's, obviously, his best days are behind him, but I think maybe all his football days are behind him. But they didn't help Rodgers at all with any kind of, I didn't think, with any kind of change in their passing offense.
And is that Rodgers, or is that the offense, or is that Rodgers too? Maybe.
Well, they say Rodgers, but I thought too that they could have done a few things differently and help that offense. But if Love became the quarterback, I think Adam Thielen would be a great fit.
Thielen, yeah, we'll see. All right, we only got a couple minutes coming up here, so we also have the Bucks. I got to look at the schedule sideways. They start their little West Coast trip. Golden State tomorrow night. You'll be able to check out or listen to that game also tomorrow on the radio dials, and then we got Sacramento starting on Monday there. We'll see if we get a Friday news dump today. I don't know, though. If we go through the weekend and nothing, I almost feel like is it back to Green Bay?
I get the same feeling that I think this weekend something's got to break.
Yeah,
as you said earlier, the free agency is coming, and they've got to start moving, including the Packers.
Yep, something to watch, I guess. But we see how many times the Friday news dump.
Oh yeah,
they'll do it Friday afternoon.
Yeah, not just the politicians, the sports people do it too.
So I don't know. The longer it goes, maybe Aaron Jones is really trying to keep him in Green Bay. You think Aaron Jones has texted him? He's been talking to the NFL Network and doing shows.
Oh, you bet Aaron Jones
think he's texted him?
Absolutely. I'll bet Bakhtiari is too, and I bet all of them are.
They always say, we don't want to bug him and all that. I feel like what's the?
This is a little different.
Feed the ego, people, and shoot him a text.
Yeah, exactly. I want to see him come back. I don't know what's going to happen, but if I had my druthers, I want to see him come back. I know a lot of people are sick of the soap operas that have been going on for the last few years, but hey, that's part of the game. Players have to, look out for themselves, because again, the Vikings, if they release Adam Thielen, he's a Viking true and true. He's a Minnesota kid. It's a business first.
Yep. And, I mean, I know everybody's like, retirement and all that. I mean, that's a life-altering decision. Look at Bob. He ain't retired yet.
No.
You don't want to, for crying out loud.
No.
It's not easy, people.
No, it's not.
So, didn't mean to put you in the spotlight, but, that's.
But we had the farm show the last couple of days, and people, aren't you retired yet? When are you going to retire?
Hey, you're still having fun, man.
Oh, we enjoy it.
Exactly. So, it's a big decision.
Go Chippewa Falls, McDonald, and Blair Taylor.
Bring back a W. Bring back some gold basketballs. And best of luck to all the boys teams this weekend, too. Have a fantastic weekend. We will be back Monday morning, maybe talking about something big.